welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I am Chad McCanna.
And welcome. Thank you for listening at home. You are doing the Lord's work.
Don't lie to these good people, Hyle.
No, in honor of Pope Francis, I think we should admit that listening to the Kongversation is what Jesus would want.
You know, I actually had someone on my team in my real job who stayed home from work today because of the insanity in Midtown Manhattan today, thanks to the Pope's visit.
Yeah, I imagine whenever the Pope or Gozer the Gozerian comes to Manhattan, I imagine people just take a half day.
Yeah, although in general, the Pope transforms fewer Rick Moranis into walking statues.
That's because he's Jewish.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that what constitutes a papal blessing, is being turned into one of Gozer's minions?
Well, yeah, and see, since he's Jewish, when he's turned into a walking statue, it's a golem. The famous Conquer's Pocket Tales boss.
That's not really a golem, though. A golem is more of a humanoid figure.
But that's what Rare called him, Siegfried the Golem.
Yeah, apparently the Game Boy team at Rare back in the late 90s was not familiar with obscure Jewish folklore.
No, they thought it was Aztec.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Anyway, so how you doing, Chad?
I'm doing okay.
Doing good?
I'm doing good in the neighborhood.
All right.
Yeah. And that's how the Applebee's slogan goes.
Is that really their slogan?
It's eaten good in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would know because I ate at Applebee's and I spent all night in the bathroom.
Yeah. So let's plow through some due diligence. Let's get through some listener calls because we've got a lot of them.
Yes. Let's get this episode on track. So as you said, we've got people calling us. They want to talk to us, and if you want to talk to us, you can call the DK Vine hotline. I can't be sincere about that.
I like that you're actually explaining the basic concept of communication to the listeners.
Well, to be fair, I assume if they're anything like we were in junior high and high school, they don't communicate with too many people. So I'm trying to extend that olive. I'm trying to help them out, you know?
Sure.
So if you want to talk to us about Donkey Kong or whatnot, call the DK Vine hotline at 1-281-410-KONG.
That's 5664. And by the way, not the Whatnot book, because unfortunately Cameo Elements of Power is not DKU.
That's true. Although, as last week somebody called in and tried to argue that.
Was it Master DS?
Master DS, I believe it was Master DS. Yes, the Master of the Nintendo DS. Yes, and granted, when the Master of the Nintendo DS calls you, you listen because
right.
His empire, his kingdom, is an entire portable system generation, and how could you ignore him?
Right. I mean,
it's not like it's the master of the Super Game Boy, which was just a peripheral. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. That'd be insane. So, or for that matter, the master of the GameCube Game Boy player.
That's right.
Nintendo. I would like Nintendo to have another peripheral that let you play their handheld systems on a television. That's not just the eShop for DS games.
Right. I would like an eShop for DS games that lets you play them on portable systems.
Yeah, that would also be nice.
Yeah. So either one would be nice. Nintendo got a new president in charge. Got taking care of business. You know, TCB as Elvis is wont to say. So yeah, maybe we'll get that. But anyway,
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
You never know.
No, I know it's not going to happen because it makes sense. And honestly, for hook or crook. That, last week's episode would have been a better time to use for hook or crook. That's a tailor-made pirate phrase. I wonder if it has. Does it have pirate origins?
Well, that's why there's a Donkey Kong Country 2 enemy called Crook, who had the hooks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's true. It's a fact.
It was a well-made fact point. So. Okay. At any rate, what the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, so Nintendo marches to the beat of its own drum, and it pan pans to the beat of its own plastic bongos, And for better or worse, sometimes they make baffling decisions, like exclusively releasing handheld re-releases on a home console and vice versa. And sometimes you get things that make a little bit of sense, like Mario Maker. So
this is why
we'll see how it plays out.
This is why it was so hard to do a proper eulogy for Iwata. I mean, on our show, it's not like anybody Nintendo asked us to eulogize Iwata at his funeral or anything.
It wasn't because we never learned how to pronounce his last name.
Iwata.
Iwata.
Okay, tomato. I mean, come on, right? Am I right?
Sure.
This is why it was so hard to do a decent tribute to the man, because we were like, oh yeah, he was great, except for the time. So we're assholes, and we deserve to die. So anyway, the DK Vine forum is also full of assholes who deserve to die, and you could be among them if you go to dkvine.com/forum and join.
That's right, and that's not to say that you will die or there will be a portent upon your house if you do join. It's just saying it's a little more deserved to those of us who grace those halls.
As Billy Joel said, only the good die young. So I think your chances are much better if you join the DK Vine forum. Quite honestly,
that's the exact opposite point I was trying to make.
Oh,
no, it's just deserved. It's not a risk.
Okay.
Yeah. Join the DK Vine forum and you will die no sooner nor no later than you otherwise would.
To be fair, we don't know if anybody's ever died on the DK Vine forum. I mean, people have disappeared, so they could be dead. We just don't know.
There almost has to have been someone who's joined the forum and subsequently died. We've been, doing this. There have been thousands of people that have graced the forums, and
mostly spam bots, but
yeah, I was gonna say, and tens of thousands of spam bots.
Sure, there's been some Russian spam bots that are no longer with us.
But over the last, 13 or so years that the forum has been around, someone's got to have died.
15. It's been 15 years for the forum.
For the forum or just for the site?
For the forum.
Wow.
16 for the site.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
We didn't do anything this year for the site's anniversary, did we?
Well, it eventually gets old. It's like, it's the 17th birthday for this and that. I mean,
hooray for us!
It gets old with games, too. When we hit, like, every 5 years, you're going to have an anniversary of some sort. It's like, oh, yeah. I mean, this is why Nintendo always ignores anniversaries unless it's Super Mario Brothers, and then they roll out the red carpet. But
I would like us to start celebrating the weird off-year anniversaries for games completely at random. Like, it's Mr. Pant's 11th anniversary.
I think for a game like that would be apropos more so than anything else.
Yeah, or Conker's Pocket Tales for that matter.
Every day is a celebration of Conker's Pocket Tales at DK Vine.
Yeah.
So anyway,
this is the 8 years and 365th anniversary.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
I'll take your word for it. It's been longer than 8 years.
I know. I was just picking random numbers that I knew were
the 20th.
Somewhere within the window.
It's like the 20th is coming up in 2019. So.
For Pocket Tales? No.
1999, baby.
Oh, God. Wow.
We're all marching towards that grave. But not that soon, because only the good die young. Anyway, subscribe to The Kongversation on iTunes. If you're a fan of iTunes and The Kongversation, you can rate us on iTunes. We'd prefer that. We'd like it if it was a good rating. If you have... If you have bad things to say about us, Mother always said, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything.
Listen to the conversation. Now, honestly, and even more than that, just if you have friends that you think would enjoy this show, tell them about it, and also
pass it around like a joint. Just share in the exuberance.
You can also find us all the hell over social media, dkvine.com/Facebook, /Twitter, /Tumblr, /YouTube, and /Instagram. So go to all those things. Look us up. Oh, yeah. And actually, by the time this goes up, dkvine.com/Twitch will be... We're not going to make too much use of that channel in the super immediate future, but in the near future, you might just see something there.
I would say the near immediate future, not the immediate future.
The super immediate, yeah.
Right, yeah. But yeah. What could we be up to? Ooh.
Yeah. So anyway, what else?
Well, there's
your
DKU Comics.
friends.
There's DKU Comics. Nick Prohl, usually every Sunday, he rolls out a new installment of DKU Comics. Currently in the middle of a honker story arc. For all of you honker fans out there, you know who you are. And also, while you're at it, there's a new Rare-related podcast that just started up this last week. It's called the Logcast. And it's actually hosted by two DK Vine Forum stalwarts, Shogun of Truth and Say, who is a frequent Kongversation caller now.
Yeah, I guess so. We actually have one from him this week again, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but no, I listened to their podcast. They don't have it up quite yet on iTunes or Stitcher or any of that, but they're in the process of working on it.
No, it's on YouTube, and you can also go to rarefriends.net to get a direct MP3 or just a YouTube link to it.
Yeah, so it's really nice to see that, now that the Rare Renaissance is in full swing, that we're seeing a lot more Rare related podcast voices out there. There's this, there's another one done by some British game journalists called Rare Replayed. I think it's a limited 30 show series.
Yeah. I mean, with a title like that, I think it's got a shelf life, limited shelf life. So.
Each one of their episodes though is interesting in that they get someone who worked on one of the 30 games from Rare Replayed and interview them. It's shorter form. It's about 30 to 45 minutes. But
wow, it must be nice to be an actual journalist.
Yeah. You can actually you know how to be to have a little bit more brevity, and you can easily reach out to people. Although, in fairness, we could easily reach out to people on Twitter and stuff. So. But no guarantee that they would come on our show, because we don't have quite the relationship that journalists must have.
And plus with the amount of semen jokes and rape jokes, as if last week's any indication, I'm sure
it's our own fault, really.
We do it to ourselves. But when I see a nice supple butt and I say I want to fill it with cream, I'm gonna speak my mind.
Oh my God. That's So, Hyle, you want to take some listener calls?
Oh, I think that would be for the best.
All right.
Oh, here come the cops.
Hey guys, it's Alistair here. I was just re-listening to the episode on Jet Force Gemini we did a few months ago, and I was a bit mortified to realize that I told a very long and very meandering story while omitting a crucial piece of information. Now, I regaled you with the tale of how I went to the shops and tried to find Jet Force Gemini, and ultimately found Jet Force Gemini. I kind of forgot to mention the fact that this was actually a really big deal. I lived 2 hours away from the nearest game store. I lived in a rural area, in a rainforest. And had I not procured Jet Force Gemini that day, it would have actually been a number of months before I had another chance. So if you could just retroactively tack some stakes and interest onto that terrible story I told, I'd be much obliged. If you could find a way to maybe edit and post, I don't know. Anyway, I just thought I'd pose the question. Were you able to travel back in time and modify the design notes for Jet Force Gemini in some way to make it DKU? How would you do it? What connection would you give? What character cameo, in what way, in what place, in what time would you be able to connect Jet Force Gemini to the Donkey Kong universe? Thanks. Love you. Bye.
Aw, well, we love you too, Alistair. The world's nicest man. That's not hyperbole. He makes us humble whenever we're around him because he's inhumanly nice.
He not only does he make us humble, he makes us all look like terrible people because he's just such an but the contrast is stark when standing next to someone like Alistair. He's just like the nicest fucking guy in the world.
He makes you want to be a better person, much like Helen Hunt did to Jack Nicholson in that movie that what was in the late 90s that I don't remember the name for, but I remember that quote because it was in all the trailers.
Twister?
What's in it? No, you're thinking of Wolf, where he was a werewolf and he actually devoured Helen Hunt. Anyway, that's a good question, Alistair. It's one that haunts me on a daily basis, and I've got an answer for you. Do you mind if I go first, Chad?
Please do.
Okay, I may have shared this on air before or somewhere on DK Vine, but yeah, I would have put Gobi in Jet Force Gemini. When he said he was off to the lava world, I think that should have been literal. I think
you would send him to Eshabone.
The lava world in Jet Force Gemini. I would
See,
have.
I was interested in your response to this because you have not played through Jet Force yet.
Right, correct.
So yeah.
But
so the lava world is basically the entire stage on Eshabone, and I'm guessing on the pronunciation there, takes place inside a giant worm. But that worm lives on a lava world with two mechanical praying mantises.
Okay. Well, see, I remember reading Nintendo Power, and I would scour articles about rare games, upcoming rare games. And so I knew there was lava in that game. And this was an idea I had back then. I thought, what if Gobi's in this game? What if this is the lava world?
Right.
And I pictured Gobi in like a spacesuit or with like a astronaut helmet over his head. And I was fond of that idea. Didn't come to fruition, of course. The lava world turned out to be Hellfire Peaks. So, oh well.
Yeah, although, it wouldn't be that tonally wrong for Jet Force, because we didn't talk about it too much on that episode that Alistair is referencing of the Kongversation, but the NPCs in Jet Force Gemini are hilarious and varied, and I don't think there's any sacred ground that you could tromp on, because
Jet Force didn't take itself seriously, and that's why it would be right at home alongside Banjo or Conquer.
There are these mining brothers that you start to meet over the course of the adventure, and eventually you find their mining operation, and they have these extreme right-wing policies that border on outright slavery. It's just yeah, you need to play Jet Force Gemini. They're hilarious. And his name is Fishface.
Okay.
But anyway, speaking of fish, one of Jet Force Gemini's most famous weapons is the fish food. Which it's not really a weapon. Hyle, have you watched the making of Jet Force in Rare Replay?
I have not yet. No.
Okay. So they talk about the fish food, and it's basically it occupies a weapon slot, but it doesn't do anything other than literally feed the fish. And it was infuriating for so long. There would be people asking Rare on scribes and everything, what the hell does fish food do? It just feeds the fish. That's all it fucking does.
No, I remember this story. You've told me about the fish food.
Yeah. So, we have a very famous Rare spin-off fish. I'd put Royston in to give the fish food basically an extension of its current purpose. I think also you go to the Water Ruin, and there is an NPC named Ivana Bear. It's a big polar bear, presumably female.
I think I saw Chris Alcock tweeting about that the other day.
Yeah, Banjo's canonical mother.
Sure.
Look, Chris Alcock's name is in the credits of a Banjo game, despite the fact that he may or may not have actually worked on it. So I hate to say it, but he does have word of God on this.
Yeah, but when God descends to Earth and just decides to start fucking with people, I question the validity of that.
Oh, so you've seen the Schwarzenegger classic Hercules in New York?
Yeah, you made me watch it while we were stone cold drunk. I don't think you can be stone cold drunk. You can be stone cold sober, but somehow you found a way. You were such an expert lush at the time that you found a way to distill alcohol. Even you put alcohol in my system even when I wasn't consuming alcohol. It was just like the air in that apartment was like, instead of moisture, there was just booze floating in water molecules. It was horrendous.
That's how stone cold drunkenness works. I learned the technique from Steve Austin.
So anyway, I remember hating that movie. It was awful. I mean, it wasn't even like comically bad. It was I want to kill myself bad.
No, it's comically bad.
No.
It's amazing, Hyle. Arnold Schwarzenegger fights a bear. And by the way, okay, I want this is my elevator pitch to anyone to just watch Hercules in New York all the way through. There are two reasons why. One, it has a main character named Pretzi on account I sell pretzels down by the waterfront. And two,
it's not that funny. Not that funny.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. And two, it was filmed in 1970 before Arnold Schwarzenegger learned English, so he learned all his lines phonetically, arguably learned them, and the initial release of the movie, they dubbed over everything, but on basically every copy that you can find today, Arnold's original audio is restored, and it's essentially incomprehensible. It's amazing. You must watch Hercules in New York.
Can I I don't know, reveal something about myself?
I suppose.
I actually don't speak English. I do all of my conversations lines phonetically as well.
That's very impressive and nice dedication. Nice to see that.
Nah. Well, I do what I can for the conversation. The Lord's work,
Right. Meticulous scripting of everything that comes out of your mouth. Translating from your native Ukrainian.
That's of course. I actually first came to DK Vine as a spam bot, and you took me in, so thank you.
You're quite welcome. You knew just how to get past our CAPTCHA. Alistair, so yeah, I would so to finish the thing, I would put Ivana Bear as I would maybe deftly change out Ivana with perhaps one of the brothers Bear.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Or I'd toss Royston in there.
Now you could have like an unseen brothers Bear in Jet Force Gemini, and we can invoke the Pepito Kong rule. That
might be Ivana Bear. You're treading on dangerous territory here, Mr. Russell.
No.
Well, you literally just said you might invoke the Pepito Kong rule, but its name is Ivana Bear.
Okay, but the Pepito Kong rule, I think it's got to be far more literal than Ivana Bear and then Chris Alcock making a joke about it a solid, 16 years later?
Yeah. Well, all right. Perhaps we should have invoked Pepito Kong. Should we briefly describe what the Pepito Kong rule is? Because
we're speaking gibberish to the vast majority of our audience. So yes, please do.
So basically, there was a DKU rule, which is essentially, we're going to get into, after our calls, our different approaches to when we will designate a game as part of the Donkey Kong universe or not. And long ago, we had a rule that we called the Pepito Kong rule that we never invoked. But essentially, it said that if there is ever a game by Rare, who at that time had ownership of the Kongs.
And this was very important. It had to be by Rare.
Right.
And they didn't have ownership over the Kongs. Well, they did have ownership over 3 Kongs.
I mean, creative ownership, not legal ownership.
Right. Yeah.
If there was ever a game in which a Kong appeared that had never been seen before, named potentially Pepito Kong, and there were no other existing Kongs in the game, we would still grant that game Donkey Kong Universe status.
Right.
But it never came up, and the rule has more or less gone away. It was more a guideline than a hard rule.
And honestly, that rule, I don't think could exist in this day and age.
Why is that? Are there too many opportunities for it to happen, or?
No, it's because there's really no legal parent of Donkey Kong, at least Donkey Kong. You can make it a case for retro, but I feel like they're only kind of temporarily the guardians.
Mm-hmm. Stewards, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise then we'd have to let in Super Mario RPG with Chained Kong.
Right. Yeah, so, they're like the Denethor of the Donkey Kong franchise in that they're going to go insane and release Metroid Prime, whatever. What was that thing called? The new one at E3?
Metroid Prime Hunter Basketball. I don't really.
Yeah, that's Retro's version of lighting themselves on fire and jumping from the peak of Gondor.
Retro's not making that game, though.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. They contributed some assets to it, I think.
Which is enough to set the internet ablaze. They will not tolerate assets. You mean they developed assets for this game? How dare they?
Right. They did the development team a favor?
They should be working on a new Metroid Prime game, like 2 of them at once.
Yeah. So maybe in this analogy, the internet is Denethor and common sense is Pippin? I don't know. I'm losing the thread.
You've completely lost it, yes.
Yeah.
No, it would be Charlie from Lost.
Mariotic Brandybuck? No. He joined the Rohirrim, Hyle.
Okay, can we move on?
Let's.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is Dustin Beeman from the DK Biden Forum. Hey, so I just recently finished playing through Banjo-Kazooie again. Favorite rare game, favorite video game altogether. But anyway, why do you guys think it's called the Isle o' Hags? I mean, is there more to it than just Grunty and her sisters living there? It's got to be something more than that, right? Also, second question, if Dave Wise cloned himself and started a band with those clones, do you think they'd be called the Wise Guys? I think they would. All right, see ya.
Well, I'll answer the questions in reverse. Yeah, thanks, Dustin Demon. So I usually, by the way, I usually listen to the first bit just so I know who to name the file after. I don't listen to the whole call.
And you need to make sure it's not just somebody like belching or, hanging up before they finish, like start saying something.
Right. But on this file, I accidentally named it Dustin Diamond.
Well, it's all right because I believe we are saved by the bell in that we're not going to get stabbed by Dustin Demon.
Right. Stabbed.
Because Dustin Diamond stabbed a dude, remember? Remember that was a big story.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I just, honestly, my Dustin Diamond, I know that he sold fraudulent info about his castmates to Lifetime, I want to say.
And he made a sex film called Saved by the Smell.
Was that its actual title?
Yeah. You know why they called it Saved by the Smell?
His unclean testicles?
No, there was definitely some fecal play in there.
Oh, he made a Shiza video. Okay,
it was with his robot character from the first season of Saved by the Bell too.
No, really? No, you can't be serious.
That was a lie. That was a complete lie.
I don't know. That'd be a remarkable commitment to continuity if it was. Okay. So in reverse order, yes, they would be called the Wise Guys. Obviously, that's just apparent to anyone. Second question. I don't even remember his question. Do you?
The Isle o' Hags.
The Isle o' Hags. I don't think there is any deeper meaning. I think that the Winky Bunyan sisters are probably very possessive of land and property, unlike Humboldt Wumba.
The implication I got from that is that the Winky Bunyan sisters basically just claimed ownership over the island. You had like the Jinjo community on there, some other communities, but per capita, they had the most land under their name and therefore claimed it. And what are you going to do?
Yeah, and that was one of the more interesting aspects of Grunty's Revenge, actually, is that we got a little bit of back history about the island. We know that...
about where the Jinjos came from, at least.
Right.
Spiral Mountain.
Yeah, we know that, or at least where they used to primarily reside or have ownership of. But yeah, Gruntilda's face in Spiral Mountain was crumbled in on the ground. And, King Jingling's face.
Yeah, so in Grunty's Revenge in Spiral Mountain, we learn that the Jinjos used to live where Grunty's lair was.
Right.
And also, Master Jiggy Wiggy had his temple in Spiral Mountain, and he was forced out as well by Gruntilda. So, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it might have been like Jinjo Island or something. Maybe we'll find out when Sea of Thieves comes out.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we theorized about that last week, so who knows?
Yeah. Also, I never really thought about it, but maybe the Winky Bunyan sisters are Irish.
How's that? Oh, because the Isle o' Hags.
Isle o' Hags, yeah.
It's the Isle o' Hags. That's right. Stereotypical Irish accents. Heidi.
Well, you are Irish, Chad,
I can do it. Yeah, it's no problem.
You're allowed to do it. It'd be racist if I did it.
You have no Irish in you whatsoever. What are you? Are you a purebred Englishman, or what are you?
No, I've got English, Irish, and Scottish in me. But
Okay, Scottish. That's pretty close.
But my Irish is like the dark-haired Irish.
The fake Irish.
No, the handsome Irish.
Oh. Okay. Do you have any deeper answers to Mr. Demon?
No, that's basically the story. It's just they took the island over. What do you want?
Next call.
Hey guys, it's me again. I'm actually.
Woo!
Well, I kind of got a phone to pick up you guys. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but
Uh-oh.
I've heard a voice. Something I need to say. I learned that there's something called the drone rule in the DKU, and well, you guys know that Mickey Speedway USA.
Oh no.
Had it for Game Boy Color. I mean, for Mickey's Racing Adventure, that's just called in the U.S. It has the rare cow up here, which first appeared in Conqueror's Bunker Town. Which, that's the game. So, then, because the cow is one of many cows, makes it so that the game's not DKU for some reason. This kind of upsets me.
I'm so sorry, Mamechi.
Why is it that just because
We can hear him.
there's a few of the cows, and in Mickey Speedway, there's one of the cows also there.
He phased back into our reality.
Yeah, Mamechi, I'm pausing the call because whatever you just did when you were calling us, do that thing for every future call because we can actually understand you. All right, I think we were mid rare cow discussion.
He blinked back from the cornfield.
That is the fact that I don't know if it's the same cow or,
Still with the cows.
I'm sorry, but it's just I'm a huge fan of the Disney Duck universe, okay? I love Donald Duck.
What?
Huge McDuck and the whole Duckburg universe.
Wait, what happened? Did I just stroke out?
I really love this
No,
comic.
he's talking about Mickey Speedway USA.
Oh, okay.
I really want Mickey Speedway USA to be DKU just because of the rare cow. Okay? I know it might not be the same rare cow, but can't we just imagine it is? Kind of make up some excuse for it to be, please? So, if you guys can make it DKU, that's okay, but can you guys at least do me one thing, please?
Mm-hmm.
And, can you guys just say this?
Yeah.
Donald Duck and Duckburg, Cali Soto, which is the state where Duckburg is located, by the way. All of that stuff is in the same universe as Donkey Kong, Conker, Banjo, and the rest. Alright? Just say that,
Professor
please.
and Marianne.
I just want Donald Duck to be equal to you. I just want to imagine that, please. Okay? I love you guys. I'll be going now, okay? I'm sorry for kind of getting upset today. Bye.
Oh, Mamechi. No apologies necessary. You were just asking us a question. It's quite all right.
I like how he says, can't you just imagine? It reminds me of that famous John Lennon song, Imagine All the Rare Cows Being DKU.
Yeah, so I was about to make a very vulgar John Lennon reference, but I'm not going to. It was about women are the...
Oh, yeah.
It's like, no, not going to say that on the air. So anyway, Mamechi, the rare cow. Yeah, unfortunately, as you know, there is a drone rule. And I had forgotten that there were two cows in Conker's Pocket Tales, which established that, they are actually drone characters.
It's a species. And here's the thing, though.
It's a species.
They're cows.
Can you explain beyond the idea that they're cows, because... naughties are beavers. Why do we not follow them? Why does the character rule exist?
Because we follow like individual characters, and if it's one thing to have a species, a type of animal, if you see a rare cow in Mickey Speedway USA after they appeared in Conker's Pocket Tales, they're not the same cows because there's multiples of them. It's
hang on a second, Hyle. Hang on. We had one call from MF Wolf that was a 6-second long call. It's extraordinarily appropriate.
Oh, well, let's hear it.
Hey, Mitchell. Why is the DKU character-based?
And then he hung up.
No. Wow.
The passive aggression is strong with this one.
It's like they're... Like the wagons are circling. I don't know what is happening here.
Yeah, well, everyone takes issue with the various ways in which our Donkey Kong universe is defined. First off, let me say, this is the way that DK Vine is organized. It has no official backing whatsoever. We cobble together words of God just to flesh out our understanding of the way that we like to think of these universes linking up. But Mamechi, there is nothing to stop you from considering Mickey's world as in a parallel universe that somehow crosses over with the Donkey Kong Universe one, or however your personal fanon wants to define it. You can do that. I give you permission.
Here's the thing about the fucking rare cow, though. Here's the thing about the fucking rare cows. Okay, so Perfect Strangers started the Perfect Strangers universe with Family Matters and whatnot. Okay,
all right.
But just because Balky Patokamus is a human, and there's human beings over on like I don't know, Boy Meets World. That doesn't make Boy Meets World part of the Perfect Strangers universe just because they have the same species in them.
But what happens? It seems like this is a little like a Pepito Kong drone thingy, though, because what happens, and I agree with you with humans and cows, but when what happens when a developer like Rare creates a species like gruntlings? Say a gruntling showed up in a new game apropos of nothing, no other connective tissue to the Donkey Kong universe, but it was a gruntling, and it looked exactly like a gruntling.
And
would that be DKU?
They said it was a gruntling.
Sure.
That would be a worthy discussion. I would be willing to reopen the debate at that time because yeah, I would. I mean, I think the rare cow, it's a fucking cow, and they don't call them like a specific type of cow. It's just a nickname, the rare cows, but they're cows. There's multiple cows, and they're not like a specific type of cows. It's not like it's like in the Banjo series, like there's sheep called bleaters. It's not like that. They're just cows. So,
but they do have like an identical sprite drawing. They're definitely the same subspecies of cow.
Yeah, I know, but they're basically just cows.
Are there multiple cow species? There have to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to like get technical, there's bovina and.
No, I mean in reality, not our weird like this. This is a goofy Pluto thing, to use another Disney analogy.
Okay, well, we all know like the difference between Goofy and Pluto in the Donkey Kong universe would be that Taj, the genie, granted Goofy intelligence and did not grant Pluto intelligence.
There you go, Mamechi.
There you go. I'm already helping out the Mamechi universe. I just gave you a bit of fanon. You can use that
for a nominal fee.
Right. oh man, that should be my career calling. Is I should go around fan wanking people's hobbies, and like they can pay me a fee, and I'll come up with a suitable explanation for why something doesn't make sense.
It's the oldest profession.
All right.
Next call. We're actually getting through these.
Good day, lads. Scratch 69 here. Hey, lads, go. Hey.
He couldn't keep it up.
Yeah, that was bloody awkward, wasn't that? All right, well, bloody outraged at the moment. Bloody travesty for South Africa. We got beaten by the Japs in the Rugby World Cup.
Oh, that's unfortunate phrasing.
Who would have thought that the bloody creators of tentacle porn would beat the muscle and hardness of South African injustice? Anyway, I've been listening to your conversation, and I have to wonder about all the questions you lads get asked when callers, call in and ask their questions. Because, lads, there really is only one good question. 3 questions for the Maliks under the sky. 7 for the Say in his hall of stone. 9 for the Memechi doomed to die. 1 for the Doom Kong on his dark throne. In the land of the DK Vine where the shadows lie. 1 question to rule them all. 1 question to find them. 1 question to bring them all. And in the darkness bind them. In the land of the DK Vine where the shadows lie. The question, lads, to bind them all, lads, is, where's Sam? Where the fuck is Sam?
God damn it.
Where the fuck did he fuck, shit, can't do with that anyway. It's Sam. Yeah, sir. Where's Sam? By the way, the Queen was touched by Jimmy Savile as a child.
Oh, God. Okay, I think I really do need to start screening these. Okay, Steph, Scraps, whatever the fuck. Sam is either in Denton, Texas, in Waxahachie, Texas, or dead.
Or in jail.
Or in jail. He might be in jail. Probably in a Denton jail.
He could be like in a Mexican prison. I could see that. But we don't know. We don't know where Sam is. And I prefer that mystery to continue for as long as this show is running. I feel like the someday when there's the series finale of the Kongversation, that's when all will be revealed. We'll find out where Sam is, and it'll somehow be the linchpin of the whole show.
Until then, when you're in Texas, look behind you.
Because
that's where Sam's going to be. Next caller.
Hey guys, the ACZ, and I've got a question for you concerning Yooka-Laylee. And my question is just simply, whose compositions are you looking more forward to listening when the game comes out? David Wise's or Grant Kirkhope's? Personally, even though I love Grant Kirkhope and think he's going to do an amazing job, I have to go with David Wise just because I've been playing Tropical Freeze for about the past couple months, and I'm just completely in love with the game. Also, I guess another side question is, what are your favorite tracks composed by both of them? For me, it has to be probably Bubble Gloop Swamp. I've sort of grown attached to that one from Banjo, and Homecoming Hijinks from Tropical Freeze, just because I've been playing it a shit ton. Anyways, you guys have a good day. See ya.
Ooh, man, I don't know if I'm prepared. That's like that's a really, really difficult thing to
That's a loaded
get down.
Well, that's a loaded question. First of all.
Oh, you mean the first half of it?
No, all of it. It's like, okay, we want you to choose between your two of your favorite composers, and then tell us your absolute favorite tracks from both. It's like, oh,
right.
Okay.
Yep.
So I can't say I'm really looking forward to one over the other. What I'm looking forward to, and this is a cop-out, I'm well aware, but what I'm more looking forward to is seeing how they mesh in the same game. Because,
that's my answer as well, to be honest.
Because, you know, when you look at like the output of Rare's games and the Donkey Kong universe compositions, you know, you're used to seeing David Wise and Robin Beanland in the same game. You're used to seeing Grant Kirkhope and Robin Beanland in the same game. But David Wise and Grant Kirkhope in the same game, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like they're two completely different styles and tones. And how is that going to work in the same game?
Yeah, I believe there was a very brief window of time on Dream when they overlapped, because David Wise was like the de facto musician for the DKC2 team, and then when Grant finished with Land 2, I think there was a little bit of time where he was helping David Wise and then ultimately took over the project that became Banjo-Kazooie. But yeah, right now, like the two tracks, the Jungle and then Jungle, what was it, like a Jungle bonus theme or something like that?
Jungle Boner.
Okay. They're so...
It's when blood rushes to the penis when you're in a tropical forest. It's called a jungle boner.
Good to know. Was it worth it? Are you proud of yourself?
I'm always proud of myself.
Good. As right you should be, Hyle. Self-esteem is important.
It really is.
No, so far the tracks that they've released are definitely distinct styles, and we're not the first people to bring this up, but they don't seem to really go together tonally all that much. David Wise's track definitely sounds a lot more like Tropical Freeze. It's the most recent thing he did. And Grant Kirkhope's plays up the sort of nostalgia factor with a style very reminiscent of his banjo work.
David Wise is traditionally moodier, where Grant Kirkhope is more whimsical. I think that would be a fair assessment. They blend their styles, and they're capable of reaching out beyond those narrow definitions. But I think more than often than not, that's how you can define them. I mean, I
would disagree. Yeah, I would disagree especially with Grant Kirkhope. I definitely think that David Wise he's more steeped in, and mind you, I know nothing about actual musical terminology, but it's often more not ambient, but echoey, synthy. It's evocative of like a larger space. I don't know any better way to put it, but I listened to all of his work on Tropical Freeze. I've even listened to Star Drift, which is an iOS game that for some reason got pulled recently. And all his work on Star Fox Adventures, the DKCs, and yeah, it's atmospheric, but not ambient. I don't know. It's hard to pin down. Whereas Grant, he's not whimsical. He is in the banjo games and in his Yooka track, and that's probably more of the style he'll go with. But
in Ghoulies, it's whimsical.
And Ghoulies, of course. And Viva Pinata, though, is, I think, much more orchestral. And I would say that his work on Kingdoms of Amalur is way more epic, and then he's got some really cool kind of trance styles on GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. Grant could do a lot of different types of music.
Okay, but for the kind of game Yooka is, though,
right?
It's going to be whimsical. That's my point. I mean,
for this game, yeah.
I'm not trying to say as a musician he's not capable of anything more, but for the type of music he would compose for this game, yeah, it's going to be whimsical, and David Wise is going to be slightly moodier.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree there necessarily. I don't know about the moodier. I think yeah.
Moodier is kind of just more like earthy.
Not a goth kid, right?
No. Moodier as in just kind of more subtle and like from the earth, where Grant Kirkhope is more highlights the absurdist nature of the world. David Wise brings a sense of realism to it. Grant Kirkhope highlights how absurd it is.
Yes, that is a perfect way to qualify it all. Yeah, I feel like there's one perfect adjective that I could use for David Wise that's just evading me at the moment. But for now, I'll go with that distinction. I think that's pretty perfect.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But between what we've heard so far, they haven't really meshed up yet, which is a little surprising considering they're both supposed to be from the same initial world. So what I agree with you. I'm looking forward more to the convergence of those two styles and to see what comes out of that, because it's something that we have yet to hear.
It could be really beautiful, or it could be a glorious mess. I really have no way of determining that at this stage, but
either way, it's going to be something we haven't heard before, and
it's really earnest, because I think if Robin Beanland could compose any music for that game, he could bridge the two styles easily.
Well, I think all three of them worked on the overclocked remix track, Donkey Kong Reskewed.
Yeah, they did the end credits theme, I believe.
Yeah. So they do a great job when they're all working together. But yeah. Robin's very busy on Sea of Thieves.
And he's under contract to Rare and Microsoft, so...
That too! There is that little detail.
As far as our favorite tracks from Wise and Kirkhope, I'll go first. I think, and this could change. I mean, it's like asking me what my favorite Beatles track is. It's going to vary depending on the day, the time of year, my mood, But now...
And whether or not you can collect all of the end of Abbey Road into a single song.
That's true. Sometimes the Abbey Road medley is my favorite Beatles song, and you've argued me on that point, but it's not cheating, Chad. It's not cheating.
No, I agree. If I'm allowed to collect, what is it, Golden Slumbers?
No. You never give me your money. That's the start of the melody.
Okay, and then it's Golden Slumbers, and then the end.
No. You never give me
Right?
your money. Sun King, Mean Mr. Mustard, Polythene Pam. She came in through the bathroom under. She came in through the bathroom window. Golden Slumbers. Carry That Weight. The end.
Are you calling the entire second half of Abbey Road a medley?
Yeah, that's what it is, man.
There's a stopping point. It's only the final three.
No. Yeah, there's a brief pause, but then the final three comes back to You Never Give Me Your Money. It invokes it. It pulls it all together.
Okay, it does bring it back. But I'm saying I think the pause is a natural. This doesn't matter.
It matters. It matters if you're wrong about the Beatles, Chad.
All right.
God damn it.
So to your answer.
Yes. So right now, as of this recording, we're recording this September 25th, 2015. My answer would be David Wise. It's going to be a cop-out. Stickerbush Symphony. Has to be Stickerbush Symphony. Grant Kirkhope. Click Clock Wood Spring.
That's a strong choice. Both of those strong choices. Stickerbush Symphony is
You know what? Click Clock Wood Spring, I really like it because that track, it's like all of nature is singing along with it. You've got the birds singing, and they're like really like cheeky birds, and they've got a little attitude to it.
Are they now?
Yes, they are. If you listen to it, they're tweeting with some feeling in that song. And
do you think are these cheeky birds Memechi's beloved DuckTales characters?
Oh, would that make it DKU?
It might.
Anyway, so that's my answer.
Okay. Stickerbush Symphony, strong choice. Probably one of the most obvious ones. Would you not go with the Tropical Freeze jazz flute version of Stickerbush Symphony?
Gotta go with the original, and the reason why is you want to talk about moody songs. That game is moody. It's that song is moody. It's melancholy.
Yeah.
It's got like this weird sadness to it that perfectly blends. And I admit, I'm biased because you can judge these songs on the merit of the songs themselves, but we're going to be equating them with the levels themselves as well. So I think that song juxtaposed with the Brambles, it's serene yet sad. And
it really that's owing to the clouds in the background. I think if you didn't have those, it wouldn't work tonally with the really difficult, bramble foreground. Mm-hmm. You need this sort of ethereal setting, this otherworldly thing for that song to really click into place as pitch perfectly as it does.
And it's perfect for like Crocodile Isle too, because it's beautiful yet so deadly. It's right. Just like it's got this just nice again juxtaposition. I just the whole game is a fucking masterpiece, but that little nugget of it, that little slice, is just what makes DKC2 the greatest game of all time.
So I will not go Stickerbush Symphony. My choice is from the same game. I'll go with Jib Jig.
Now that's a strong choice. That's one of my favorite.
This is the rigging one.
I like that because that, I think, song more than any other defines DKC2 in my head. It's the romanticism of the high seas adventure.
Right. It gets and to me that's almost the Donkey Kong Country 2 theme song. It's not the title screen or even the song that plays on the first stage Pirate Panic. That's Donkey Kong Country 2 to me.
Same here.
Yeah. So and by the way, speaking of the overclocked remix of that game, the version of Jib Jig on that album,
so fucking fantastic.
They nail it.
I think we mentioned it before, like overclock remix, I like a lot of the versions on it, but as far as versions that rival the original, you never get any except that song. That song,
one is great.
Seek it out because it gives me chills. It perfectly captures the spirit of the song, the spirit of the game. It nails it. It's fucking phenomenal.
Right. For Grant Kirkhope, that's a little more difficult for me. It's going to be something from Banjo-Kazooie.
I would have guessed you would have gone for an outside choice, like something from Ghoulies, because I could see you being controversial like that.
No, that would. While I love the Ghoulies soundtrack, and probably from Ghoulies, if I had to pick one from Ghoulies specifically, well, I think the Ballroom is very, very strong. I also love the Zombie Pirate song mostly because that was used in one of the earliest Ghoulies trailers, so I have this associative memory with that. But upon playing it in Rare Replay, I really loved Hunchy's theme.
Really?
Yeah, and it's cool in Ghoulies that every single type of Ghoulie gets its own song that they play when you first encounter them, and then later on when they're like the primary Ghoulie that you're up against. But no, I wouldn't go with that. That would be me trying to rock the boat for its own sake. I think Grant Kirkhope's finest work to date is Banjo-Kazooie, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because that's an extraordinarily high watermark and very, very difficult to meet.
It's crazy he went from Donkey Kong Land 2 to Banjo-Kazooie.
Right? He cut his teeth on those hexadecimal values. That's for damn sure. No, and mind you, I have not really had a chance to play either of the Viva Pinatas. I know that those are Grant's personal favorites of his output, or at least
It doesn't matter what he likes. It matters what we like.
Right, I know, but I would assume he has a pretty good opinion of his own work, or a pretty accurate opinion of what's best. But no, I would say, if I had to pick something from Banjo, because it's all over the place with that game. Every single song is memorable and hooks you in. Around the holidays, it's always Freezy Peak. Shit, man, this is hard.
Just pick one and move
Treasure
on.
Trove Cove, moving on. DKBK, next call.
Hello, DKBK here.
I spoiled it.
I'm calling today to ask, do you guys think that there will ever be a 12 Tales ROM released by probably Tim Stamper? Thank you.
What?
Hyle, will the coked up Tim Stamper ever give us a 12 Tales ROM?
No.
No. By the way, mind you, for new listeners, coked up Tim Stamper is a reference to a previous episode. As far as we know, Tim Stamper is in no way coked up.
Although that would be it'd be fun if he was.
Yeah, and if he ever did dump a 12 Tales ROM, that might be a good explanation for why, because I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think legally he could do it. Maybe he could. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, he has enough money that he could probably have lawyers chasing their own tails for the rest of his life.
The lawyers would just get caught in his hedge maze in his castle.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I think the time, if a 12 Tales ROM existed, I think it would have been leaked back in the heavy leaked days of a couple years ago when we were getting all those leaks.
I wonder how those got out of Rare.
Of course, those were all Game Boy games, weren't they? Those were all Game Boy Advance games that leaked.
Yeah, and some of them were completely unreleased. Like, I think didn't the Battletoads GBA ROM leak?
I don't know.
Which was just like a single stage. I want to say I played that ROM, but
I
then
was
there
more
were, of
transfixed
course,
with the Diddy Kong pilot shit. So
yeah, the pilots got out. I've wondered how that happened, how those got out into the world, but I don't know. I think it's pretty clear that Rare has and is going through a lot of their archives. We've seen a bunch of new content pop up on the Rare Replay videos in the game itself, Rare Revealed, and they're even continuing that trend. Like there's new Banjo-Tooie Bottles Revenge footage out in the world, and there's a new screenshot of Banjo 2.5D. So
I mean, I think that nothing will leak, though. I think they've got much tighter reins over the whole institution right now. So I don't I don't mean like creatively. I mean like as far as like things aren't as in disarray as they were back when things were leaking. So I think
what is kind of cool though is that it tells me that they're going through these archives and categorizing and saving and preserving a lot of them for posterity. So, I mean, maybe if they do ever find a 12 Tales build, I don't think it would ever be like, leaked or released as DLC in Rare Replay. that really depends on how playable the thing is. You know,
I could see maybe them like making A-level playable if it was complete enough, but I don't know.
Yeah, you also have to wonder how much actual interest is in there.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of
to
work
to make it worthwhile.
Payoff.
Yeah, especially to make sure that like it wouldn't just freeze people's systems when it inevitably crashed.
Right. Yeah. So Rare's interesting, and they've got so much like cut or modified content over the years, and like stuff that was announced that fundamentally changed by the time of release. So they're in a unique position to do that if they wanted, but it would be unprecedented, I feel. So
do you think other studios that had auteur sensibilities in the way that Rare did back in those days
there's that word again. You brought that word back.
It's been a year, man. I knew as soon as I was forming that sentence that you would say something about the word auteur. Do you think that similar studios have this sort of unreleased secret backlog of work, or is this unique to Rare?
I think the creative process at Rare kind of fostered it a bit more. Only at Rare, especially Rare in the 90s, could you have gotten like the evolution from Dream to Banjo and from Conqueror's Quest to 12 Tales to Bad Fur Day. Like, I think they had more leeway to do that. The Stampers kind of encouraged that. So I don't know if other studios would have that. Also, Rare announced things when they weren't satisfied with them. Like Conqueror's Quest was announced summer of 97. And, so...
Well, I think they were satisfied with that at the time. It was
at the
just...
time. But but like, again, it's just the epic rivalry between the Banjo team and the Conquer team, and they just got two completely different games by the end of each development cycle because of the other game. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, there you go, D-Bay Kibay. We have no way of knowing. Next call.
Hey guys, I don't think I need to introduce myself. DKU question you posed. To be honest, I'm not really going to get too heavily into sort of characters, the character crossovers and sort of what constitutes a DKU game in that way. But one thing I was wondering was, have you ever considered loosening the ESRB rating? I do understand why it was put forward in the first place, and you don't have to cover sort of every unofficial Flash game out there. But I was just wondering. I mean, let's say for example, if Rare did a Banjo arcade game that was only released in the UK, and it was scored by Kirko, designed by Males, but it never got a US release. Therefore, no ESRB release. I mean, would you make an exception in that case? I'm not mocking your system, lads. I'm just curious. Okay. I'd like to also take this chance to thank you both for your support this week with you know what, and it's been really nice to see that kind of support from not just you but other forum members too. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.
That was Say, by the way, and of course he's talking about his bar mitzvah. But right. Say, you only turned 13 once in your life, and of course we're going to support you in that.
It was actually a dual bar mitzvah and bris. So
usually they do the bris part a little earlier.
Yeah, get it all out of the way in one day. That's the spirit.
Today you're a man and a little less of a man. That's not how circumcision works. Anyway, no, of course, Say is referencing what we referenced at the top of the show. He's one half of the Rare and Friends Logcast, which is a new podcast on the scene. And yeah, keep it up, guys. But yeah, it definitely seems to be all of a sudden people are questioning
the
if
knives
not
are out, man. The knives are out. Yeah.
Well, Say it was very polite phrasing, but yeah, let's explain the ESRB guideline again. I don't want to call it a rule.
This is really setting up the main topic of the show. Thank you to all of our callers for trying to upend the system this week.
You failed. You all failed.
Basically,
you played right into our hands.
I think the ESRB rule has been overstated over the years. especially by you, Chad. But I agree with you. Don't get me wrong.
Okay. I always thought this was one of yours.
No, this was one of yours, baby.
Okay. Baby.
The ESRB rule, it's one of the criteria to determine if something's an actual official video game or not. And so basically we just turn to the ESRB. Does it have an ESRB rating? That's a good guideline. Now, however, I don't think a game necessarily has to have an ESRB rating to be DKU. That's just one of the things we look at in making the final determination.
Yeah. I agree. It's really just because we were starting to enter an era when the Game Maker and Multimedia Fusion and a lot of other products were putting game development tools in the hands of the general public, and we really needed a way to designate what was or was not an official release. And
there would also be like shitty I guess there were Flash games on like Nintendo.com,
or CandyStand.com.
But CandyStand is different.
It's not. See, that's the thing, though. That's the thing. I think that us canonizing Donkey Kong Country Barrel Maze is a very slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, but I feel like there's justification there. But
in what? In that you like it more?
No, that it's a real game anyway.
Whoa!
Yeah,
hey, hang on.
You did. I said this the other week. It's a real game, and you went, whoa, as if.
I think for good reason.
I know it's definitely it's got some meat on them bones.
Yeah, but what makes something a game? Should we get into that? I feel like that is like its own episode. What is a game?
What is life, Chad? Why are we here? We could have some deep philosophical conversations if you wanted, or we could just enjoy Donkey Kong Country Barrel Maze.
Brace yourself. It's about to get existential up in this piece.
But I don't think we're going to come to an agreement on this line of logic. But I would say, though, that if Rare, for example, the Rare Creative Jam actually brought this up in conversation between the two of us. The Rare Creative Jam was something they did the other month where, like for 1 week, everybody just stopped working on what they were working on at Rare, and they basically just made their own cool projects and just for shits and giggles and to kind of shake off the cobwebs.
Right.
And so a lot of the Rare projects were games, like just games made by the Rare team, starring Rare characters usually. And we thought, well, what happens if Rare releases one of these as like a download or on their website? Would that be DKU? And we were like, well, of course it would, because that has a higher degree of it's a higher caliber of release. It's made by Rare.
Ooh, hang on though. These are things that are put together in a week. You can't say they're more polished than.
You're the one who always goes on about Word of God. Well, this is a new testament sent down from the heavens. Like it's new, like a third stone tablet, Chad. I mean, well, like what do you want? Like
no. Okay. These are apples and oranges because Word of God is to clarify hang on a second. I'm walking myself into a trap, aren't I?
Are you?
I see what you've laid out on the ground before me, Hyle.
I don't know what you're talking about, Chad. What?
Oh, no, I realized that I was about to invalidate the whole concept of Word of God by the sentence that I was about to speak.
Oh.
So
let's hear it then. Let's hear it. No. Go back. I want to hear
it. Or at least I was going to be inconsistent about the application of Word of God because you're right. It would apply in this case. But here's my thing. If we're going to take a game that was created in 7 days. Hang on, it's getting very Word of God.
Yeah, you're just proving my point here.
Yeah, well, 6 days, and then presumably they go have a curry. But I've seen a lot of tweeting about like the Platonic guys are having a curry. Some of the people at Rare, they go have a curry. I love curry. And apparently that's a thing in England where you go have a curry with people. I would love to have a curry, but I don't know what that is.
It sounds like vulgar slang though. Like
I just had a curry on my lunch break.
Yeah. I just had a curry in the rest stop. Yeah.
I feel pretty relaxed now. It's a good curry. No, I want it. What, is it like a family style Indian food thing, or
I don't know. We have several friends that live in the UK. Maybe we could just ask them.
No, it's too much work. I'm just gonna assume that I already know what having a curry is.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it's
actually having a Mark Curry where you marathon Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Whoa. That is a deep cut, man.
No, it's a TGIF reference. I made some earlier in the show.
Was Hanging with Mr. Cooper a TGIF show?
Yeah. The
For some
second
reason, NBC.
The second episode guest starred Uncle Jesse and Michelle from Full House, making that episode part of the Full House universe, but not all of Hanging with Mr. Cooper, since it was just a cameo.
Oh my! There was one game that was part of
this show is basically audio BuzzFeed. It's like, here's 10 facts that 90s kids need to know.
Yeah. Number 9 will make you want to reevaluate your listenership. So there was a game as part of the Rare Jam that was, I forget the title, but basically you had Conquer.
Rare Jam is another word for making a curry. Having a curry.
And Banjo was in it. There were basically these sticky balls, and one character who looked like Conquer named Mr. Pink, and these sticky balls that were characters would roll around.
The balls with themselves weren't sticky, but they were picking up sticky things because they're covered
with their fur. Right. So it was kind of a Katamari Damacy sort of game. It's the best way I can think of it. We haven't seen any video, but it had Banjo, it had Conquer. If that were ever released, yeah, of course it would. I mean, regardless of whether it was 1 level or 10 levels.
Rated by the ESRB. I would think, yeah, that's DKU because Rare made it. And yeah, this is something we're going to be discussing here, hopefully when the actual topic of the week starts up soon. How many more calls do we have, Shad?
Three.
Good fucking God.
Two calls. 2 more calls.
Good fucking word of God. But I think Rare has that, as far as the Donkey Kong universe goes as we define it, Rare has a lot more street cred than Nintendo or anybody else, which is weird to say, I know. But I think anything Rare does has greater weight to it.
Okay.
And I think you would agree if you really think about it.
No, of course. But so in Say's hypothetical scenario, you would say that, yes, that game made by people at Rare would be DKU. But what about the Banjo Nuts and Bolts flight simulator thingy that you played live on the show the other week?
Oh yeah, I really played that live, all of 20 seconds. Well,
so why is that? Why is Donkey Kong Country Barrel Maze a game from CandyStand.com to promote the Game Boy Advance version of Donkey Kong Country? Why is that DKU, but this Banjo Nuts and Bolts Lunchables tie-in not?
Okay, because at the time you were saying it's rated by the ESRB. Like that was your whole justification.
All right, but I. First of all, I was dead wrong if that was my whole thing.
I still think it's rated by the ESRB, and I think the ambiguity of it, even if it wasn't, it looks like it is. So who's to say? It's a matter of faith, Chad. Word of God. God. If we're going to invoke God, then we're going to invoke faith. Okay.
Okay. Well, this is turning into Lost.
I have faith in Donkey Kong Country Barrel Maze, and yes, I may be strangled and replaced by a smoke monster, but you know what? Eventually, as we look down into the source, you're gonna realize I was right, and then my doppelganger is gonna stab you, and then Kate from Lost is gonna shoot me, or shoot my doppelganger. I'm already dead, but we'll meet up again in the Flash Sideways universe.
Yeah, I'll see you there. We'll reminisce about agonizing conversations past.
You know what? Just one week, I just want to say fuck Donkey Kong discussion, and I want us to defend the finale of Lost. Because we are fans of the finale of Lost. We think it is actually one of the best finales, I think, of all time.
Yeah, for different reasons than why everyone else hates it.
Yeah, it's so fucking rewarding, it makes the whole show mean something. And if you are disappointed by it, then I'm sorry, you were trying to get something else out of the show than we were and that what the creators were. So fuck off.
Wow. An impassioned defense of Damon Lindelof.
Oh, I can watch that show to this day, anytime, and sob at the ending of that show. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It gets me at that emotional level as well. But
okay, Breaking Bad also had a great finale, but it played it safe. It played it so safe. They just wanted to stick the landing, and they got there. Lost ending had balls. It had massive balls, and I give it major props for that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a larger topic for another time. You're the one that got pissed off. We have 2 more calls, so
I know, but I thought about that scene in the church where Jack realizes the truth, and then he walks in, and then he hugs Locke, and Locke says, "We've been waiting for you."
The funny thing is, there are probably about 80% of our listening audience making giant jack off motions right now as you're describing how emotional this is.
They're having a curry. They're having a curry.
They're having a curry right there. So,
making some rare jam.
Can we at least agree that the ESRB rule or notion, guideline, whatever you want to call it, is a faulty premise that we probably should not use as justification anymore?
I think it's not the sole justification. If a game doesn't have an ESRB rating, we can't just dismiss it out of hand. But I think if a game does have an ESRB rating and it's of dubious nature, then we definitely have to weigh that. Now, allegedly, there have been fan games that have somehow gotten ESRB ratings, like bootleg, games, and
it does happen, yeah, especially with the App Store now.
So those have to be dismissed. So it doesn't.
I think we need cleaner criteria of what constitutes a quote official release. I think that's really what we're trying to establish with ESRB, right? Because it also makes the show it makes the site DK Vine and the whole concept of our Donkey Kong universe very xenophobic. It's like it's telling everyone who doesn't live in America that the games that you've played are invalid and we don't care.
Okay, well, why don't we call it the ESRB/PEGI rule? Because it would be the same thing.
Well, I think we just need to have a larger discussion about what an official release is.
Okay, well, I feel like Donkey Kong Country Barrel Maze is an official release, and I will die. I will go to the grave defending that. So, thank you, sir. Thank you.
I don't think your future wife would think that's a very good reason to go to the grave, but
she knows what she's marrying into.
Okay,
she accepts the risk.
All right, I'll look for that to be part of your vows.
It's like being a soldier's wife, you know.
You know what you're signing up for. Exactly. Although I think they have a little bit better of a like an after death financial plan, don't they?
I'm trying to negotiate wearing a Donkey Kong tie for the wedding, so we'll see if that happens.
Oh my God, you're really trying to get those Facebook followers, aren't you?
It would be it would be great. It'd be fantastic.
All right, so let's see what our next caller hates about the underpinnings of our 16-year undertaking.
Hey, this is Angry Ancestor. You guys probably recognize me. I'm a pretty active member of the DK Vine forum. You can find me at dkvine.com/interactive/forums and then some other shit. So I have a question that you guys have probably discussed a lot because you're both pretty pathetic. But for normal people, maybe just quickly run us through it again.
Oh, man.
In DK King of Swing, or whatever the fuck that game was called, you can play as Bubbles from Clue Clue Land. Now, does that make Clue Clue Land a DK Universe game, if you catch my drift? DK King of Swing is my favorite Donkey Kong game, probably. So this really means a lot to me. I need to go throw up this pastrami that I ate for breakfast. See ya.
Whoa. That call was all over the place. Well, he's living up to his angry part of his name.
Such total whiplash. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's my favorite Donkey Kong game, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah. It means a lot to me. So do you. I gotta go puke up some pastrami. See ya, bitches. Well, thanks for the call, angry ancestor.
Listen, you jag off. This is the way it shakes out. All right. No, Bubbles isn't a fucking Donkey Kong universe character. Why the fuck would you say that? That's fucking nonsense. You asshole. He's a cameo character. It's like Mr. Game & Watch appearing in Donkey Kong Country Returns. You catch my drift?
Dickweed.
You fucking chode.
Chode. That's when you don't hear enough anymore.
It's a classic. It's a classic, man.
It is. It is. Let's bring it back. Angry Ancestor. He's so that's another. Really, it is though. It's really about what makes the DKU. And we don't go back in time from release date to make a game DKU if it has a character from another game.
Because then everything would be DKU. The entirety of video games would be DKU, essentially.
Yeah, thanks to Donkey Kong featuring Mario.
Right. I mean, that's the path to madness right there.
As we can see on the Super Mario Wiki.
Right. So
we'll have an episode about elves if we start doing that.
Milli Vanilli.
So
Bubbles is a cameo character. Cameo character within Donkey Kong game itself, much like Mr. Game & Watch, and I guess those are the only two examples, unless you count Mario, Link, and Yoshi from the end of Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Land 2 to be the actual characters and not animatronic robots.
Yeah, I think they're robots. I think they gotta be robots.
They gotta be robots. It's the only thing that makes sense.
The only thing that makes sense, and I guess Funky Kong would have built them, right?
Oh, I think Cranky Kong's got some robotic skills. He made an arcade. He made an arcade game.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, I would say I think Cranky Kong might have programmed the game, but Funky Kong was instrumental in creating the hardware, the board, and everything. Yeah.
See, we're not pathetic.
No. Shut the fuck up, angry ancestor.
Shut the fuck up. Get that fuck out of here.
Next caller.
Oh, hey. So, if you met Donkey Kong in real life...
I know who this is.
Like, if for some reason you encountered and interacted with a real-life manifestation of the fictional character Donkey Kong, do you reckon you'd get on? Do you reckon you'd like him? Do you reckon you'd be mates? Okay, thanks. Love you, bye!
Well, that's none other than Jeff Onan, DK Vine staffer.
The beloved Jeff Onan.
Right. Well, Jeff.
From Wales.
Right. All the way in merry old London, Wales. So I don't know, Hyle, what do you think? If you ever ran across Donkey Kong, would you get on?
Well, luckily I was thinking about this earlier today. I was thinking, what would happen if Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong walked through this door right now and said, "Hello." What would I do? Well,
once again, not pathetic.
I would imagine if they did exist in the physical world, in the material world, then I would imagine they would be aware of DK Vine, because I imagine they Google themselves, and I am sure DK Vine would pop up in a Google search here or there, and I'm sure they would know about us.
Fair assumption.
I would hope they would be okay with what we do to honor them and glorify their exploits. And I would imagine they would say, hey, would you guys want to come back to Donkey Kong Island? We've got the barrel plane right outside. We're going to fly you there. And I'd be like, can I pack my things? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, how long would I be gone? And they would say, oh, just the weekend. I'd be like, all right, cool. And we'd go and have fun. We'd drink. We'd have some parties. And I'd hug them, and they would hug me back. And it would be really, really special for me.
Not pathetic at all. No. I think that no, this I don't know. I would have to. You know, it's funny. You see in those in any form of like fictional media, the trope when someone encounters themselves,
The
like
Mary Sue thing.
The Mary Sue thing?
Like, are you talking about like in fan fiction when people write themselves into the story?
No. That's like a Stephen King thing. No, I mean like when, okay, in Bender's Big Score, when Fry met himself, he hated himself, and you see that a lot. When someone meets themselves, they hate them. Which is, it runs counter to what you would think, is that, of course you're going to be able to get along with yourself. I feel like, contrary to what I might expect, I might actually wind up hating the Kongs.
Oh no!
Well,
why?
I don't know. I have no reason to think that. I just feel like it's the sort of thing that might happen. I think they might, while I might enjoy controlling their digital avatars as a puppet master, they might have little idiosyncrasies that weren't displayed in those games that might get under my skin. I feel like what we see portrayed in the DKU games might be a sanitized version of those characters.
Well, here's the thing: they say you never want to meet your heroes. So I could definitely see that. Like, what if they were just massive cocks? Like, what if the real Donkey and Diddy were just terrible people and like
not have? Sorry, I misheard you.
Well, that too. Like, what if like the real Kongs just had massive swinging genitals and they're not wearing pants, so you can't ignore it. You can't look away.
No.
It's all going to be in front of your face the whole time.
Now that's what I'm referring to when I say it's been sanitized. The rough edges, and by this I mean big swinging monkey dicks, have been sanded off.
Now gorillas actually have pretty small dicks if you look them up and Google image search it and stare at it for a long time.
Safe search off.
Yeah, have a curry with the pictures of it. But no, I think we saw Donkey Kong's dick in Mario Party. I think that's indisputable. Remember that famous picture?
The little pixel, the little bit of vector stuff that's coming. It's like one wayward polygon that looks a little bit like genitals.
That suits me just fine. That works for me.
All right. Well, I hope that answered your question, Jeff.
Jeff from Wales.
Jeff from off of Wales, London. We have answered all of our listener calls.
Oh my God. Fucking Christ.
All right. So for the next 30 seconds, we're going to get to the subject matter. We did want to talk about the Donkey Kong Universe canonization process.
Yes. So let's do that.
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about Skylanders at all? Because we haven't given our rare replay update. We haven't talked about the fact that there's
I haven't had time to fucking even play Skylanders this week. Okay, so Skylanders, we're gonna have an episode next week about Skylanders. Skylanders Superchargers. Okay.
Mark your calendars.
Because here's what I did. I made an ass out of myself. And I bought the Wii U starter pack. I bought the Wii U starter pack. That's the Dark Edition. I bought the Wii starter pack for Skylander Superchargers Racing with Bowser's figure inside. And I also have the 3DS version. So fuck me. Fuck me in the ass.
Pathetic does not exist in this dojo.
So I have a big pile of boxes right next to my desk. 4 games, starter packs, like all these portals, all these figures, all this plastic. It's just terrible. It's awful.
Your carbon footprint is through the roof.
I've killed the environment. The Pope is going to be pissed at me. Obama's going to be pissed at me. GOP candidates are going to love me, though. Trump thinks this is the classiest thing I've ever done. So, you know what? Skylanders haven't played it. We'll have a chance in a day or two, and I will give my report next week.
So, you know what's fun about Skylanders is they, like every single one of the Skylanders, the characters that you can play as, have extremely intricate backstories. I've looked a little bit into it, just kind of picking random ones, and they are extensive. And they reference a lot of in-universe gobbledygook. Now, I am hoping against hope that all of that is internally consistent, because this gives us a crazy new world to branch out into as fans. So, like, are you going to embrace it that way, or are
yeah.
you looking at it as a weird little sideshow that we're going to cover because we have to, and then sort of move on?
No. I'm looking forward to this. It's a cameo game, but it's a cameo game that carries a little bit more weight than normal because Donkey Kong is such a prominent fixture of it. That's the whole Wii U promotion is centered around Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong, he's right there on the cover. You have to, his figure comes with the starter pack. It's
a stylish jumpsuit. What can I say?
I've got both the regular figure and the dark figure, so you know what? I am a whore, but I'm looking forward to delving into this world, and I'll also talk a little bit about the free promotional comic that I got from GameStop for reserving the game.
Ooh, I didn't know that existed.
You should check the Facebook page, man. You should check the Facebook page.
Are you posting any of it, or is that a little sketchy?
Well, I did post a couple panels, and it's going to bring up some interesting continuity discussion if we can deem the comic canon, which might be an aspect of the discussion we're about to have.
All right. So, I don't really want us to get into the exact canon criteria when you
No. We're not going to be arguing today about whether the Viva Pinata cartoon is canon.
Right. I really want to talk more about the mindset in which we approach a new opportunity for a game to be considered Donkey Kong Universe.
I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit apprehensive. I feel like we're going to come to blows here. This could be the end of Chad and Hyle.
I think there have been many opportunities for the end of Chad and Hyle, and even a few dry runs, but I don't think this is going to be that.
Dry run, like when you're making, when you're having a curry?
So your attitude is... just going to skate right past that. So your attitude is... more often than not to err on the side of excluding something from the Donkey Kong universe, whereas mine is more anarchic. I often
just want to see the world burn, Chad.
Right. I want to include everything to trace the weirdness. Because that's sort of what I'm reveling in now.
You're about the weirdness. I'm about the integrity.
Okay. All right. I'll take that.
No, I'm about this is something that I have been doing in my head since I was 11. I mean, maybe it's something that I've been charting in my head for most of my life. I mean, more than half of my life now. A third of 2/3 of my life. Oh my God. So it's something I take very seriously. It's not just, haha, I run a silly website. Isn't it funny? I'm gonna pour Drano up my dick. No, I'm going to.
Whoa, that took a turn.
No, I actually, yes, it's inherently funny that we take this so seriously and that we have all this legalese, and it's like a Supreme Court decision whenever something dubious becomes DKU, but.
Right.
I treat it with reverence because I feel like that is the key. If we started treating it like a joke, if we said, oh, that's awful, let's make that DKU because we can cook up this half-baked justification for it, then I feel like the whole concept starts to unravel.
See, I do like the idea that you talked about a Supreme Court case, or because I sort of do see the Donkey Kong universe rules that we have established on the website as a few basic criteria that essentially serve as our constitution.
I mean, to be fair, we got our DKU rules from the founding fathers. I mean, this was penned by Jefferson himself.
Right. I don't know. I don't have anything to.
He was banging a slave when he was writing.
Okay. So. What? Okay. Just gonna. Oh, it's been a long show.
We're just getting started, baby.
God damn it! Why do we keep doing this? Why do you people keep calling us?
Why do we take every call? Why?
No, we don't. Actually, that's the scary thing. We don't. At least not the ones that are burps. Maybe we should. Maybe we should start just taking exclusively burp calls. No, but if we're going to use the analogy of the rules being our constitution, that constitution needs to be interpreted.
Yes, and that's what we do.
Well, define we.
Chad and Hyle, with input from others.
Okay. So I know that there are a few people on the Donkey Kong Universe forum that, if they are not, legalists career-wise, they are certainly legally minded. People like the aforementioned caller Jeff Onen and Saf, very, very fantastic posters. They always have very detailed things to say about the Donkey Kong Universe, and I mean, I think these guys have thought long and hard about the interpretation of the rules as much as us. I mean, I feel like the interpretation of the rules might be best served as a forum exercise. Do you worry about that?
Yeah, I do. I feel like our two mindsets keep it honest, because we do have contrasting views on this. So it's not like we're just in lockstep. And if we were both like, haha, let's make Shovel Knight DKU, suck our dicks, internet, that would be one thing. If we were both stick in the muds like me, that would be terrible as well. I think we keep it honest by having the debate and the strife. And to be fair, we don't normally have strife, because usually it's just if Donkey or Diddy are in a game, or if it's made by Rare and there's Banjo or whatnot, it's DKU. I mean, it's not hard. It's only recently that we've had a lot of edge cases, a lot of ambiguity that has made this, I don't know, the most openly hostile time period on the forum since the Great Viva Pinata Wars, which you actually weren't present for the most part. That was when Ozzy Ben Cosmina came back to the site. He was the third human staff member on DK Vine, and he left when we started Greenporn City, along with Andre Summers, who also left, but then he came back during.
By the way, that was sort of ambiguous phrasing. Andre did not work on Greenporn City.
If I can blame somebody for Greenporn City, I'm going to. Andre, it was his vision. We were just the hatchet men.
Random plug for Andre Summers. If you find yourself in Sydney in the next couple days, go to the Sydney Fringe Festival and watch Andre Summers' original Shakespearean sequel play, A Snowflake on the Tongue of Oberon. Plug over.
Wow.
Yeah, Andre's good. He's a playwright. He's getting very good press for that one, by the way. And his wife, Fiona, is one of the lead actresses.
Fiona Apple?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So, anyway, I don't know. So, yeah, when when Ben came back to the site, Viva Pinata came out, and he was like, this game feels like it should be DKU. Fuck it, I'm calling it. It's DKU. And at this point, I was kind of, I was engaged with the site, but I wasn't, not to the degree I am now, nor to the degree I was when we launched it. So this was kind of when we were working on Elvis and Slick Money, you know?
Right.
So, now, granted, I tried to keep it honest, because I looked at Viva Pinata and I was like, okay, there's Mr. Ribs. There's a Mr. Ribs thing you can buy in the game, and it looks just like Mr. Ribs. Is this actually Mr. Ribs? And so we had to take it to Scribes. And Lee Loveday said, no, that's not the real Mr. Ribs. That's just a replica of Mr. Ribs.
He did not want to hear it.
Exactly. So I called. I was like, no, I'm sorry, Ben. This can't be DKU. I'm sorry. This breaks the rules. And he wouldn't have it. People were like openly like having spats with him. There was open rebellion in the air. It was a nasty time. Eventually,
I believe he branched off, didn't he?
Did he?
Ben.
What do you mean? What do you mean he branched off?
I believe for a while Ozzy Ben created the Ozzy Ben universe, which included Viva Pinata.
That's
right?
what that's what he renamed the forum for a time. There was a time when he and it was part joke, part in jest, part just fuck it, I'm just doing it. I'm just taking over, military coup style.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was like Ozzy Ben was a dictator during this time, a little Castro hat, firing a gun in the air on a balcony, Saddam style.
Well, you have a gun, you have a balcony. Do the math.
I know if I had a balcony, I would have a gun that I would shoot in the air at all times, and I would wear a jaunty hat and speak down to my minions below. The peasants who were beneath me. But so eventually somebody said, well, there's a goldfish in the game. Couldn't that be Royston? And we asked Lee Loveday, and he said, yeah, that's Royston. And
fucking Loveday. But this giant rift about Mr. Ribs, and then, oh yeah, that fish. Yeah, sure. I have to wonder if I feel like Lee Loveday has better things to do than lurk around DK Vine, but I wonder if he realized what was going on from the first comment and then rectified it, or if it was a calculated move to create discord, or if it was just how it played out. Probably that latter.
I think it was just how it played out, but I mean, read into the history however you want, revise it in your own head. But yeah, so that was like the last time we really had an edge case. Of course, we wondered if any of the Connect Sports were DKU. Eventually, it turned out Royston was in the second one, and the third one became DKU through DLC. So, okay, but that wasn't that controversial.
Right. It's clear that Mumbo is announcing in Connect Sports Rivals DLC. It's clear. Well,
not announcing. He communicates with you though directly. So,
but that's what I mean. Yeah. And in Connect Sports Season 2, it's not clear that goldfish that sometimes appears multiple times is Royston.
But
Rare clarified that it is indeed Royston.
So there you go.
Yeah. So those are relatively uncontroversial, but. And even the Viva Pinata one, you know, compared to some of the cases that we're encountering today, no big deal. But
here's where it gets dodgy in the era of the Rare Renaissance, something we're just encountering over this past summer. We live in an era where Rare staff members are now kind of scattered to the wind. Of course, you know, you've still got the stable House of Rare, which is the primary like the root. It is the trunk of the tree, and then the branches that come off of that, you got Platonic, and then you've got various other people doing their own endeavors, and on top of all of that, you've got the most easy access to any Rare employee that you've ever had before, because you've got Twitter. So it's not like you have to go to Lee Loveday and he is the answer man speaking company doctrine to you.
And in riddles a lot of the time.
You're right. Now you can just phone up Greg Bales and say, "Hey, Greg, baby, can you answer this for me?" Or hey, Steve Malpass, what do you got for me? And that, on top of all of that, we have met many people at Rare. We have interacted with them. More than ever, so many people at Rare are aware of DK Vine and what we do and the games that we play, and intentionally they're going to be messing with us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
Is there one example in particular you could think of?
Oh, God. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there.
Sure.
Chris Alcock.
Oh, okay, yeah. Thanks for clarifying.
So all of a sudden, all of our carefully manicured legalese that's developed over 21 years, and I'm including the time that DK Vine wasn't around, when it was just me and Elliot, and then you off in Houston, Pasadena, for our worlds converged.
Right.
And people at home who were members of the DK Vine forum who predate DK Vine, I'm sure they also had this going on in their own heads. So 21 years, now we're at this critical junction where suddenly the whole thing can be blown apart, because we're in an era of unrestricted access and ambiguity, just like so many of the gods of the Word of God fame are now making games off on their own away from Rare. So where does that leave us?
Well, there's also a dangerous thing that, we don't have to go too deep into it, but there's a push now that there are people with purchasing power who were growing up in these eras, even from companies like Nintendo, to cater to that somewhat obsessive audience. And Shigeru Miyamoto even released a video recently that clarified the entirety of Super Mario Bros. 3 was in fact a play, that none of that shit was actually going on. And of course, there are ways to fan wank around it. You know,
right.
you can take a look
I don't actually think that squares away with canon in any way, but then again, I'm not a Mario expert, so you know what? I'm going to leave that to the good people at Super Mario Wiki.
Honestly, I would say if you follow the way that we define our universe, you could say that perhaps that's true of the NES version, but the events that happened in Super Mario All-Stars, Super Mario Bros. 3 did not have that stage play aesthetic, and therefore may have actually happened.
It didn't?
I think, didn't it just have, like, it had that opening thing, but it wasn't like all manufactured? Or maybe am I thinking of it wrong?
Bro, it's been so many years since I played Super Mario All-Stars.
Yeah. Do you even Mario, bro?
You know, once Entourage...
Maybe I'm wrong.
Once Entourage started up, man, it was all over for me. I couldn't play Super Mario All-Stars. I didn't have the time. I had to watch Entourage.
Yeah, GTL. So, yeah, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering it. But anyway, I think there are ways to talk our way out of what Miyamoto said, but that sort of thing is something you never would have gotten back in the day. Now you are, in addition to this tweet ubiquity.
No, because before you had like middlemen. You had Nintendo Power, you had scribes, occasionally Ask Uncle Tusk, you know, but that was essentially it. You know, you had Rarewire and Nintendo Power, and those were where the creators went to speak to the fans. Now...
Okay, I just looked up screenshots, by the way, and I was completely wrong. It did have all those elements. The All-Stars version.
So
yeah.
Therefore, you've ceded any arguments you were going to make, and I win everything. Thank you.
Sure. There you go. No, but let's talk about Yooka-Laylee. That's the first one. That's the first one of these new kind of crazy, argumentative DKU.
Well, okay.
things.
Here's another thing. Here's another problem. Before we talk about Yooka-Laylee, there's another facet of these problematic continuity quibbles that are going to come up, because we also live in an era where fans can make games, and really good professional games, indie games. Indie games are a thing where they didn't used to be a thing, and now indie games, you like, let's say Shovel Knight, wield tremendous influence. So what happens when the fans start making games?
Well, it's rare that an indie game wields tremendous influence. I think Shovel Knight's definitely an exception.
Yeah, I know, but those are still official games. We're going to talk about what's an official game. Well, those games are official games. So anyway,
they definitely are.
That's another area. This is just almost like the Wild West we suddenly find ourselves in. It's almost a lawless territory now. So setting the stage, yes, let's go back to talk about Playtonic, because this kind of all started in the spring, or at least publicly started in the spring, when Playtonic unveiled itself and unveiled Project Yooka-Laylee at the time.
Yeah, and basically, part of the Kickstarter campaign was that if they met a certain stretch goal, which of course they obliterated all their stretch goals, Grant Kirkhope would do what they were referring to as a GK rap, which would be another version of his infamous DK64 DK rap. Not another version, basically a thematic cousin, if you will. And he said on Twitter that Chris Sutherland, who was one of the two DK rappers, would be reprising his role. And so that sort of got my brain thinks to chugging. And I went to the forum and basically said, oh, this is according to Grant, who would have word of God on this, Chris Sutherland was playing a role as one of the rappers, and he will be reprising it. So that character, it's an audio-only character, but that role will be reprised, and therefore the character connection is there. Yooka-Laylee is preemptively a Donkey Kong Universe game. And mind you, I was approaching it from the mindset of inclusion. So I was actively looking for opportunities to connect these dots.
You were doing the Ozzy Ben thing where you saw this game that felt like it should be DKU, and you were looking for any justification you could find.
Right. Although I'll ask you this. You know, when Aussie Ben was working on MacGuffin's Curse, the werewolf comedy puzzle adventure from Brossom, available on Steam, iOS, and I think Android, probably. When he was working on that, we were trying to convince him to put an unnamed goldfish that taps on his bowl 3 times in the game so we could make it DKU. Both of us were actively advocating, we were campaigning for something to be put in that we could then interpret as DKU. How is that any less valid than my approach now?
Because I got to be honest with you, I wanted to see if he would do it, but in the back of my head, I was like, I don't know if this would really count or not. This doesn't feel right. But I never brought that up at the time.
You kept that to yourself?
I did, because I just wanted to see if it would happen. Plus, during that time, we really thought Rare was not dead, but no more, as in they had become the, basically, again, hatchet men of Microsoft, making whatever games they wanted to make. We didn't know the Rare Renaissance was going to happen. We didn't know St. Phil Spencer and Craig Duncan would reinvigorate the studio. So
I wouldn't put it that way. I would say, forget the Rare piece, I would say we didn't think that our characters that we follow would ever show up again.
Well, that's essentially what I mean.
Okay. I mean, let's go. We really don't know enough about the creative inspirations behind the Kinect era to say what was going on.
I'm more talking about what the public perception at the time.
Okay.
At the time, you were there. You felt the mood at the time.
Of course, of course.
We can be as retroactively rosy about it as we want. It was pessimistic at the time.
Oh, it was extremely so. I'm just saying, like, let's be honest, though. We don't really know who made what decisions and who designed what and who wanted to make what.
I'm just saying at the time, I didn't think we would ever see Royston again. Unbeknownst to us, he was going to crop up in Connect Sports Season 2, but whatever.
Right.
You know, it just felt like that era was over, and if it was up to the fans to carry that torch, so be it. So part of me just wanted to see if it would happen, and then I would deal with the consequences later. We would have the knife fight then, but so yeah, I did have my reservations then, and I never said anything.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe you should have spoken up, because that's something I was thinking of in the back of my mind when I was sort of pursuing this Yooka-Laylee one. It's like, well, you know, if we can campaign for a game to be made DKU, then surely just looking for existing evidence of DKU status is valid.
Well, here's the thing. When you talk about campaigning, I really do believe we're now entering an era where there's never going to be a new Rare game that isn't DKU in some way.
You think? Is that going mostly off of Greg Mail's cheeky comment that it wouldn't be a Rare game without references?
I also think enough people at Rare are aware of the game at this point that I think...
The game being the Donkey Kong universe idea?
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a physical appearance somewhere. Hell, they put Royston in Connect Sports Season 2, and we completely missed it. But we were asking them to do it, and they did it. And I think
correlation is not causation, Hyle. Let's not get crazy.
No. It was definitely. I'm not saying we had an influence, but definitely the community, the fan base had that influence.
Or maybe the people who were working on Connect Sports Season 2 just really like Royston.
Nobody likes Royston.
Oh, come on. Everyone loves Royston.
Yeah, everybody in our community, which is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm very insular. I often forget this.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, and you brought this up, I think, the first time actually on the Kongversation, and you remember how incredulous I was towards the whole thing.
Yeah.
But this is where debate is good, because the more I thought about it, the more it made absolute fucking sense.
Yeah.
Because I looked, and I recently did part of my Tuesday feature on the DK Vine Facebook page is something called Continuity Candy, and that's where I look at continuity connections in the Donkey Kong universe. I started it January this year. It's been going every Tuesday since, minus the week for E3, because that was a busy fucking week and I didn't have time for my regularly scheduled Facebook features. Anyway, so I did have posts though, but just about E3. Anyway, so last week I did a continuity candy about the DK rappers. Maybe you should pull that up, Chad, and maybe I should pull it up and read it to you.
Yeah, maybe you should, because I wouldn't know where to find it. Oh yeah, dkvine.com/Facebook.
Yeah. Come on. All right, I'm pulling up the album continuity candy, and let's read this off here. Okay. And see if you disagree with any of this, Chad, because this is your theory, but I'm trying to do right by you.
Oh,
and
you.
the Donkey Kong universe concept. Okay, so
I should pay attention.
Continuity candy, : The DK rap is one of the most infamous moments in the Donkey Kong series. But what's the deal with it in universe? Did the Kongs actually record a music video with a rap duo rhyming about their exploits against the Kremlins? Surprisingly, the answer seems to be yes. The DK rap first returned in Super Smash Bros. Melee as the stage music for the Congo Jungle. It was a bastardized cover version, think Kids Bop, but one that was decidedly out of universe.
Did you spell Kids Bop with the Z?
I did.
I didn't hear it pronounced.
Kids Bop.
Thank you.
However, 3 years later, that version turned up in Donkey Konga as one of the songs Donkey and Diddy could perform. While your interpretation of the songs in the Donkey Konga series may vary, parentheses, are the Kongs actually performing the songs as we hear them? Where do the vocals come from? Are they transmitting through the magic DK bongos like some sort of radio? End parentheses. This was the first in-universe confirmation of the DK rap being something that tangibly exists. A couple of months later, in the Game Boy Advance version of Donkey Kong Country 2, a substantive reference was made to the DK rap by a major character. In the funky mission Cool Sounds, you have to retrieve his ghetto blaster after he dropped it in an ice cavern. Parentheses.
Ghetto blaster?
Yes, this actually happened, and yes, he did call it his ghetto blaster.
All right.
Once he gets it back, he happily declares that he can now listen to the DK rap all night long. By the way, I provided screenshots of everything applicable here, so I did not that screenshot.
There has never been a better time to follow us on Facebook.
However, this game takes place before Donkey Kong 64, so how does the DK rap exist at this point? Our fanon theory, and by that I meant my fanon theory, is that this was the first, unheard to us, version of the rap, written to celebrate Donkey and Diddy's victory over K. Rool in the original Donkey Kong Country. That would make the DK rap we all know the DK rap 99, written and performed after the events of Donkey Kong 64 in the island-wide celebrations that must have occurred. So who are the DK rappers? Yes, this is one Facebook post, by the way. So who are the DK rappers? This
Not
is
traditionally how Facebook is utilized.
This is why I could never man the Twitter. Okay, so who are the DK rappers? Well, we've heard them, but we haven't seen them. But we've got enough to go on now to consider them characters in their own right. Interestingly enough, at least one of them will be returning in Yooka-Laylee. Yes, one of the Met stretch goals of Yooka-Laylee's Kickstarter was the promise of a GK rap. Grant Kirkhope will be back to write a song in the style of the DK rap, with Chris Sutherland reprising his role as one half of the DK rappers, complete with a similar music video. While George Andreas, the other DK rapper's voice, probably won't be back, although anything is possible at this point, it's arguable that this is our first continuity connection between the Donkey Kong universe and Yooka-Laylee. Whew.
Nice. So how many people angrily screamed at you in the comments below?
How many people? Nobody. 47 people liked it. And a few people just said, wow, I forgot all about that stretch goal. That's awesome. And somebody argued that the Melee cover was way better than the Kids Bop song. So.
That's okay, but now we're splitting hairs, aren't we?
Right? Yeah. So, and the more I thought about it, now, granted, we were trying to campaign for Playtonic to put Royston in the game, or as we called it, an unnamed goldfish that will tap 3 times. And our argument was that Playtonic should be viewed as a legitimate continuation or extension of Rare. At the time, we were phrasing it as continuation. That was before Rare revealed itself at E3, and now it feels kind of like a shitty thing to say because.
See, I don't even really like thinking of them more as an extension of Rare.
It's basically a Rare team that's off campus, essentially. But the difference
I don't like that. I don't like that idea.
But the difference between them and Free Radical is they're making games explicitly in the spirit of Rare, right down to their goddamn fucking studio logo.
The logo, right? Which Captain Bones had a word or two to say.
The whole premise of Playtonic Games is we are going to be making Rare style games. Free Radical went off to, yes, they made kind of GoldenEye style games, but they were essentially trying to make their own thing, their own name for themselves. Playtonic is, no, we're Rare guys. Fuck it. You look at the Playtonic studio or whatever, you look at where they're making fucking Yooka-Laylee, it's awash in Rare memorabilia. They're living the Rare lifestyle. And I think that's where Playtonic differs than really anybody else who is carrying on from Rare, who's no longer part of the studio itself. Playtonic is a legitimate spiritual sister of Rare.
Okay, I'll say that, but I don't want us to continue thinking of Playtonic and Rare as, versions of the same entity or anything like that.
But they are. Why do you disagree?
Because
do you think it disparages Rare? Do you think it disparages Playtonic? Because I think
that one. I think that, and not disparage. It doesn't disparage either of them, but to me, it boxes in what Playtonic could turn into.
But at this moment in time, Playtonic, their whole thing is we're making Rare-style games.
Oh, don't get me wrong. They are playing the nostalgia card real fucking hard. And I'm actually...
Yooka-Laylee, like I said when Yooka-Laylee was officially revealed, I can't believe how close to Banjo this actually is. Right down to the goddamn font and the goddamn logo. That's hyphenated.
Right. No,
it's a great thing. Don't get me wrong.
No, honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing elements of Yooka-Laylee that are unique or that aren't XPs of Banjo stuff. I want to see Playtonic chart their own course, and I'm really looking forward to them making good on their promise that any Yooka-Laylee character could spin off into their own game, because there could be some interesting gameplay concepts that we haven't seen yet from Rare. So I don't want us to continue thinking of Playtonic like, they're founded on the basis of being a Rare offshoot, but they're established now, right?
They're established in the visage of Rare. I mean, I don't see why it's so hard to think of them as just another Rare team that's operating independently of Rare's oversight.
Because that's not what they are. They are literally a separate company. Let's think of them like a separate company.
But that's what they build themselves as. It's like okay, yeah, Paul McCartney and Wings. It's not the Beatles, but you would be remiss to think that they don't have Beatles blood in them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's maybe Playtonic is boxing themselves in by leaning so heavily on Rare. Although I think it was a very smart, calculated move to get a whole lot of money from Kickstarter.
Also, just the right time, as 90s nostalgia really, I think, kicked into full bloom this year, and people have really started to embrace everything about the 90s. For like so long, the 90s were disparaged as this just cultural wasteland, as decades always are right after they end.
You also though have to consider though that if they're an offshoot of Rare, they're an offshoot of Rare from 15 years ago. The current Rare is a different company with mostly different people. All as we know, all the good people left in 2002. No, they still do.
You clarify, because people are.
I'm sorry. I'm joking. I'm fucking joking. That's a phrase that we make fun of a lot. The popular notion, or at least it was for a time, that all the good people at Rare left in 2002.
Greg Mayles, Robin Beanland, Nick Burton. I could go on.
Luis O'Connor, there are a lot of fantastic people still at Rare. No, but there are a lot of new people as well. And while there's some, a lot of connective tissue in the games that they're currently making, Rare is doing a new thing with Sea of Thieves. They're not playing that nostalgia card. They're making a conscious decision to try something new, which is not what Playtonic is doing.
But Sea of Thieves is steeped in Rare. I don't want to say mythology, but it's rare aesthetic, rare.
No, it's not. No, it's not. We're seeing those things because we're laser focused on rare, but the average consumer is not going to think, I want to play a rare game. They see a Sea of Thieves commercial and say, that's the one. If you took the labels off of these cans of soup and just looked at the contents of them, you couldn't tell me that Sea of Thieves looks like a rare game.
Okay, Andy Warhol, I'm not saying I don't give a fuck what the average consumer thinks. I'm saying what the diehard rare fans, diehard rare fans are. We can see the patterns. I mean, and they exist. It is the same rare. They've evolved. Yes, they've evolved, but they're still. This is not Connect Sports. This is.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think Platonic has evolved, and that's an intentional decision.
It's an intentional throwback, though. That's the thing, and that's fine. And you're saying, but that's not rare. Well, you're saying that the rare of 1998 isn't the rare of today. That's fine, but it's still rare. It's still an aspect of rare.
I'm just saying, I think if Platonic was a rare team, if they were in Manor Park in a barn, they probably wouldn't be making something like Yooka-Laylee. No, they might be making a 3D platformer, but I don't think they'd be playing the nostalgia card quite so hard.
No, but they're independent of Rare, so they feel like they can do this. And
that's fair. I'm just saying that categorization of Platonic as an entity, I think, is putting a false image in people's minds of both Platonic and of Rare.
Okay, well,
they're distinct. They're separate companies. Let's treat them like separate companies.
They're separate, but they're tethered. They're tethered. There's an invisible cord, but it exists.
All right, Adam Smith. Should we move on?
No. I'm just saying, though, that back in the spring, before Rare re-revealed itself at E3, we were saying, you know what? I think we need to view Platonic as a legitimate extension, continuation, however you want to phrase it, of Rare. Mm-hmm. And so they have complete Word of God status. And that was our viewpoint then. I still kind of stand by that, but I can see where that would be a bit of a sticky wicket.
No, I don't disagree with that, but I think that's because the people who are at Platonic have Word of God status. It has nothing to do with the legal entity that they're working for.
But I think we need to take into account what the importance of legal entity. So here's the thing. Uh-huh. So let's just say that the DK Rapper situation didn't exist. And there weren't going to be any DK rappers in the game, and they just put in an unnamed goldfish. And I'm sure, by your criteria, that would make it DKU. From my vantage point back in the spring, yes, that would have made it DKU as well. Because sure, why not? That's Royston. Mm-hmm. Why not? But now, I'm not sure. I think the best scenario for it to be DKU will be the DK Rappers, and here's why. Uh-huh. Rare does not own the DK Rappers. Nintendo does not own the DK Rappers. The characters are hypothetical, yet they appeared in the game. It is a 1 in a million shot, a 1 in a million occurrence that has evolved out of this. Platonic can basically claim these characters and through Word of God status make Yooka-Laylee DKU. Something that I don't even know if they could do with Royston.
Or, well, not characters, because let's not assume that George Andreas, as far as I know, is working at Sony.
Fair enough, but Chris Sutherland's DK Rapper.
Right.
Absolutely. So
K-Rap.
I think no matter what, this could be an argument that we'll have to resume another day because it is one that's heavily weighted, but I feel like you inadvertently stumbled across this band, and I got to give you all the props in the world. You may have found the only way Yooka-Laylee and the entire Platonic universe can be DKU.
That's why I was really looking hard, because they've been really upfront that, and it's really exciting that potentially every character could spin off into their own game. And in fact, all the games they will be making will be spun off of Yooka-Laylee in some way. So we need to lock this one down if we're going to follow all of Platonic.
But oh my God, like I said, they're hypothetical characters, but that doesn't make them characters any less. And they're characters that aren't owned by Nintendo.
Right. So we can do it. So basically, we get to decide. We get to interpret.
Yes, and Word of God status. This is one area where Word of God status does win out because there's no legal precedent for it. Legal in the actual definition of the term and legal in the DKU sense of the term.
So here's the approach that I take, the mindset I take. I basically want to declare Yooka-Laylee a preemptive Donkey Kong universe game until we are told otherwise. And you seem to want to take the opposite approach.
I just need to see the way they're actually presented in the game. Because there could be a way they could blow it all up and make it so somehow it invalidates the argument we just laid out.
So we're finally here, and I'm not a pre-existing character. That kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds ludicrous, but we need to see to make sure. Will Yooka-Laylee be DKU? I would say 95%. It's a 95% certainty at this point. But that's that 5% that we've got to be leery about, and we've got to be honest about.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Hey, man, you've won me over this much. Aren't you proud? Don't you want to stroke your nipples?
That's not what gets my my curry having.
And I was also thinking about this earlier today when I learned about the show topic that you devised for this week, and I was like, so these are like hypothetical characters. Could there be any other characters that were implied to have appeared but would not be owned by Rare or Nintendo? And I was thinking about this, and I was like for example, like could we like sneak any characters into Lobo Destroyo?
Well,
no. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is just pure hypothetical.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what if like one of the sperm in Tip Top Father's spunk in
No, that's a zygote. That's not a character.
Oh, but are we going to have this discussion, Chad, about where
when does life begin?
And how does that apply to the DKU?
I think this is the best platform for us to have that conversation.
But what if we reveal in Lobo Destroyo that it's an anthropomorphic sperm enchanted by some Gruntilda magic or something?
Ooh, sploogie.
Sploogie Tip Top Senior's sperm, yes.
All right. Well, thankfully, thanks to the very gracious Pete Hentz, Tip Top Suite is canonically where Tip Top was conceived. that's the one thing we got out of E3 as far as canon is concerned.
and that means yes, that's probably a bunch of spunk piles. That's probably the sweet cream of Tip Top's father.
And to be fair to Pete and his future career opportunities, all he did was not disagree with the notion that we get to decide this one.
We made him laugh, and in my universe, that's a nod of approval. But
right. I mean, he basically said, "Well, there's no way to know," and we were like, "So are you saying we get to decide?" And yeah, it was one of those things.
So does that grant us Word of God status as far as Tip Top Senior spunk goes? Does that give us Word of God status?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were bestowed Word of God on this one case only, and we talked about this on one of our E3 episodes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's a very narrow jurisdiction, but we do have it.
I'll take it. You know, I am this self-avowed semen enthusiast on the show, so.
So let's talk about some other cases, because I think we've really exhausted the Yooka-Laylee topic.
But I feel like Yooka-Laylee is important because that is the linchpin of all of this. Because as we go further away from Yooka-Laylee, this is where things start getting dangerous.
All right, well, let's flirt with danger. Jack and the Beanstalk.
The movie, the fairy tale. What are we talking about here?
The children's interactive storybook application from Nosy Crow, which is I don't know if it's run by, but it's certainly employed by it certainly employs the Bryan brothers, Ed and Will. Ed Bryan,
famously of the Banjo team, who has appeared in the Rare Replay videos concerning Banjo.
Yeah, so Ed in particular, this Jack and the Beanstalk game basically tells the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, and it's a game for children. Now, he tweeted that a cow in the game was Bovina. Banjo-Tooie character Bovina, who looks nothing like this cow, is anthropomorphic.
And in the game is not called Bovina.
So here's the thing. I've been wanting people
completely has a different name than Bovina, I should say. It's not like they leave it ambiguous. The cow was named something else entirely.
Right. So there's been a thread on the DK Vine forum where people have
this fucking thread.
Yeah. So why do you take issue with this thread?
Why do I take? Okay, I can understand the want to make it DKU because it's a new DKU game. Sure, why not? However. And this is where things get dodgy. Mm-hmm. Ed Bryan, I love him. He's a mensch. But
you don't know Ed Bryan. Don't pretend like he's a good guy. You don't know him.
He worked on Banjo.
He could be worse than Hitler, but make little imp noises.
If Hitler worked on Banjo-Kazooie, I would give Hitler props, man. Hitler would be all right by my book.
No, I'm sure Ed's a very nice guy.
Although I wouldn't use Yiddish to compliment Hitler. That would be not that wouldn't be kosher.
Yeah,
it's not
probably frowned upon.
Yeah, probably. Here's the problem with this. One, jokes on Twitter do not equal Word of God in my mind.
Okay.
They don't, because everybody at Rare is a funny person generally. I mean, I'm sure
it's a prerequisite to employment.
I'm sure there's sourpusses at Rare, but they keep them locked in the cellar. They don't get out much. That's fine. So
when you go into human resources on your first day, they have a picture of Jerry Lewis dressed as that Auschwitz clown that says you must be this funny to enter.
We're really on a Holocaust kick this week.
We really are. You know, I heard that Jerry Lewis put in his will that movie will be released after his death.
See, I heard the opposite. I heard that in his will it will never be released.
I read something recently that took my side, but I don't know. We'll have to let the forum look this up.
We really should record live one week from the Holocaust Museum in DC. I feel like it would be tasteful. It would be tastefully done. The Day the Clown Died, right? That's the name of it.
That's the name of it, yeah.
Or The Day the Clown Cried, or there's a clown.
Yeah. The Day the Clown did something that rhymes with that, yeah.
Yeah. Tears of a Clown. Mm-hmm. So anyway,
I was gonna do that under your thing, so go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, That's really going to be an annoying.
Hey, yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
That was what we opened the second episode of the Vine Donkey Kong audio program with.
I could have kept going.
You could have, but I'm going to cut you off. Cut you off like it was your bris, right, babe? Right, babe? I'm going to call you babe from now on.
Yeah.
Bro,
you called me baby earlier.
Baby? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with
That's brisk.
That's brisk, baby.
Yep.
So here's the thing. Okay, Ed Bryan is working on this children's fairy tale game app, whatever. He sees the stoked fires for Banjo nostalgia from Yooka-Laylee. He's like, I want in on a sweet action. He makes some jokes to make people remember the Banjo series and make them aware of his new game. And to be fair, it worked because people on the DK Vine forum are talking about Jack and the Beanstalk. But I think we have to determine the difference between joking and honest word of gods. Here's another problem.
Yeah.
Ed Bryan no longer works for Rare. Rare and Microsoft own the character of Bovina. So Ed Bryan, as much as he may have been invested in Bovina's creation, can he really control and dictate Bovina's fate? If he was serious with this comment.
Here's my answers to those two questions. Yes, I say he can dictate Bovina's fate. However, word of God. See, here's the thing. Legality, in my mind, has no bearing whatsoever on what is or isn't a DKU game.
But that's a path to madness, Chad.
No, it's not. Because you're the kind of crazy liberal who wants to drown us in legalese when all we need to do is look at the tenets.
I like chasing ambulances, Chad. What can I say? It's fun. They've got the flashing lights and they make the siren. And
quit it with all these amendments. We don't need bills of rights. We just need to look at the basic fundamental tenets of the Constitution. And in-game depictions trump word of God. So even if Ed Bryan was serious that this was Bovina, I'm sorry, but the cow is named Daisy repeatedly in the game. It doesn't talk, it moos, It's clearly not Bovina as depicted in the game. So that's it. It doesn't matter whether or not Microsoft owns the character or not. I think if Ed Bryan wants to put Bovina in a game and risk the lawsuit, that's fine. But
you know what? Okay. Maybe this whole situation has been clouded by the way it was presented to us. If there was a cow in a game called Bovina, if it was Jack's cow that he sells for the beans,
and she talks, and she's anthropomorphic,
and I'm Bovina. I like growing maize. Hey.
Right.
Classic Bovina dialogue right there, right?
Right. There was a corn pun. There was a wheat. Yeah.
I'm amazing. I'm Bovina from off of Banjo-Kazooie. Do you remember me? Maybe you wouldn't have to be that explicit, or not explicit, implicit. In the if it was explicit dialogue, it'd be, hey Jack, thanks for fucking me behind the barn. I'm Bovina from Banjo-Kazooie. Look at my cream pie.
What? Well, that's a bit of a character departure, isn't it?
Meaning the pie that Jack's parents made from the cream they got from Bovina.
So anyway,
says the guy who made a Mrs. Pie cream pie ad on DK Vine.
Yeah, but that's hilarious.
That it really is.
It is.
So then I would pause and actually consider your point. And maybe I'm just wrapped up in, well, Ed Bryan doesn't own Bovina, so fuck this line of thought because of the way it was presented to us.
No, it's just look at what makes a game, or in this case, a character, DKU. They said something word of God. Look at the game first, and if the game contradicts it, go with what's in the game.
But here's the thing, though. Like,
and by the way, I bought Jack and the Beanstalk, which so far I haven't seen anyone in this forum thread that has put their money where their mouth is. It's only $5, people. Buy Jack and the Beanstalk. Support Nosy Crow. Support the people you love, and then argue about it. Buy the goddamn game, people.
Here would be where I would also be cautious. If Ed Bryan did go rogue and say, fuck it, I'm putting Bovina in the game, I'm goddamn Ed Bryan, bow before me, which I'm sure he does, because he's, why would you not if you worked on a Banjo game? You would have an inflated sense of ego. You would be a monster. I'm just kidding. Ed Bryan, I'm sure, is a delightful guy. I said he was a mensch. If he went rogue and revealed that Bovina is actually Adolf Hitler and killed her/him off in Jack and the Beanstalk, and then that's going rogue with a rare character. He doesn't have the authority to do that. There's a difference between a cameo and actually pissing on the character you don't own, and I'm sure in your mind that doesn't matter, but that's where the danger of allowing creators who don't own their characters creative leeway. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing. I mean, MF Wolf had a very succinct question. Why do we follow characters? But what you're saying is that not only do we follow characters, but we follow characters within a certain legal framework.
I'm saying,
I don't like that. If the fabric of this universe is about us looking at the stories, the tales, the adventures, trials, and tribulations of certain characters, and the people who created those characters put them in new adventures, what the fuck does it matter whether or not they legally have the right to do that? That's a metatextual argument. That's not an in-universe argument.
Because once a creator leaves Rare, isn't what they're doing essentially just fan fiction?
No. I say no.
And I realize that's a shitty way of looking at it. That's a very unliberal way of looking at it, because you're giving the power to the corporations, to the people who own the trademarks, and copyright law isn't that fucked? Why does Walt Disney get to extend the copyright on Mickey Mouse every so often? Why isn't it in public domain? Sorry, Mamechi. I know that would. I don't know if you would be for that or not, Mamechi, if you want Donald Duck to be public domain or not. But
please call us and let us know, by the way.
Please call us and let us know, but make sure you're not calling us from that alternate dimension you have been calling us from.
Oh, yeah, the dimension you were on in the middle of the call, that was the best one.
Yeah, so I realized, creative folk tend to side against copyright law. Why am I for it? Because you've got to have that unifying voice sometimes. You've got to... For a guy... Most people don't care about canon like the way I care about canon. like people who argue against copyright law, they don't give a shit what is or what is not the official story of Sherlock Holmes or Superman or, Robin Hood. They don't give a fuck. They just want good stories told about those characters. I think it matters a great deal what it does and does not actually constitute the official history of that character. So that's where I'm coming from.
All right. Well, that's another case. There's one more that may be a little bit more about us going out of our way to make something DKU. And in this case, it wasn't even one of us. It was the aforementioned caller, MF Wolf, Mitchell Wolf.
Future staff member MF Wolf, who as much as I celebrate his future staff member position, he definitely likes to get cheeky sometimes. He likes to play with fire.
So honestly, though, I love that he does this. I love that he is poking and prodding the fabric of this because it allows us to have subject
matter. It makes my
matter.
life a lot more stressful, I'll tell you what, when I'm at work and I see the very fabric of the DKU potentially unraveling. It's just like, oh god.
But it's not unraveling, isn't it? It's tracing it in weird directions. So
okay. Well, describe the situation.
All right.
First of all.
in Shovel Knight, there's a town that you can go to upgrade your weapons, your armor, all of that. By the way, I don't know if you've played Shovel Knight. It was a fantastic game. That's incidental to all this, though. There is a lot of the people in this town are actually anthropomorphic animals. And unlike Rare's kind of anthropomorphic animal, they're not taking existing designs and anthropomorphizing them. They're doing more of the BoJack Horseman approach, where they are putting animal heads on human bodies.
Terrifying.
One of these is what's called the airship enthusiast, and he's a rooster. So MF Wolf asked Yacht Club Games, or he told Yacht Club Games that in his mind, that rooster character, the airship enthusiast, is Drumstick from Diddy Kong Racing. Yacht Club came back and said we could get behind this, and then I got pulled into the DK Vine account. Got pulled into this, and basically I said, "Okay."
This is why it's dangerous having you on Twitter. This is why I like Jeff in charge of the Twitter.
Get over it. Jeff from Wales, London.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, so I basically said, "All right, we've got one half of the Word of God on this. Rare, balls in your court."
One half of the Word of God. How is Yacht Club Games a Word of God?
They are on their half of the question, aren't they? Yacht Club if Yacht Club Games said it was Drumstick, it's not there yet. You need the people who you need someone involved in the creation of Drumstick, and absent that, you need a studio word, since they still own the rights to Drumstick, don't they? And this is where it's not really about legal ownership, but about someone who gets to chart the course for that character.
Does Rare even know who owns Drumstick anymore? Like, I feel like they've just given up on the Diddy Kong Racing characters, because they probably own them, but it's just too fucking of a legal mind fuck to worry about.
I think the only tricky case is the eponymous one.
I was gonna say, I was hoping that's where you were leading with that.
Yeah. No. So I think it's pretty cut and dry that they don't own Diddy, they don't own Crunch. Pretty, maybe Tricky, who knows? But pretty much everyone else is Rare's.
They own Tricky's. They own Tricky's future. They don't own his past.
Right. So anyway, yeah, Rare owns Drumstick. I think that's fairly clear.
I know that. I mean, that's the way we've traced it. But I remember asking them at E3, and some people they're like, I don't really know anymore.
Who knows? Yeah. We leave that to the lawyers, which is honestly that's the safe answer. All of you at E3 whom we asked and answered that way, you did your jobs because you didn't pull your company into a legal quagmire. Good for you. No, but if Rare were to have responded and said, "Yep, that's Drumstick," then who are we to argue? But Rare. By the way, Rare was silent on this.
Thank God. Here's the thing. Okay, so I posted an essay on the DK Vine forum in response to this, explaining my concerns and why I felt like this was basically picking up a stick and swatting it at a hornet's nest. And I'm not going to read it out because we would be here all night if I read my post. But I essentially said, okay, we're essentially taking what Yacht Club Games... Now, if Yacht Club Games and Rare actually really got behind this and it was more than just off-the-cuff Twitter just joking and joshing and, oh, it's drumstick. Oh, yeah, sure. Wink, wink. Blah, blah, fart, fart. If they actually got behind it and supported it, then yes, I would agree with it.
Okay.
However, I think again, it's very dangerous to say Twitter joking is the same as proclamations from scribes or from Nintendo Power or whatnot. Because it's more off the cuff. There's less thought put into it. And quite honestly, if Rare wanted to give Yacht Club Games that right to dictate Drumstick's fate, then sure. Again, as you said, who are we to say? But I feel like there's nuances that have to be considered and debated. And I'm afraid the day is going to come where we're going to disagree on how much nuance is needed.
Yeah. I mean, we're already having those conversations.
We already are. And luckily, the way it's shaken out, we're in agreement thus far. And the day is going to come where we're going to be at each other's throat, and it's going to be the end of DK Vine and Fire and Brimstone, the end of human life as we know it.
I'm sure Joe Mudd will rise from the ashes.
The only human life we know are people in the DK Vine form. Yeah, Joe Mudd will rise up and he'll rule a new heaven and a new earth for 1,000 years before he casts the great beast in the fire. Who would be the great beast in this scenario? I'm
Matt
not
Corona.
sure. Okay. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, basically, you've labeled yourself a continuity anarchist, partly in jest, but there's a nugget of truth in there. I
like to watch. I like to see where the weird goes. I basically I'm looking for things that are DKU. That's the difference.
And my thing is, I think the weird has to be earned. Mr. Pants dancing on Boggy's television in Banjo-Tooie, that's fucking weird. And it's Mr. Pants, one of the most beloved entries in the DKU. Retroactively trying to make Shovel Knight a game that was not even conceived to be part of the Donkey Kong universe, let alone with that rare spirit, that's another matter entirely, and that's what makes me shudder at what could happen, what could transpire.
So I think what you're saying is it's about original intent, not retroactive intent.
And I'm not saying you couldn't retroactively make a game DKU with this, but it would take full-on commitment. It would take Yacht Club Games would have to really say, okay, this is Drumstick. Rare would be like, yep, sure, do whatever you want with him. That's fine. We're not going to be using this character again. And again, that's more like me waiting and seeing. And I even said in the thread, I would say, absolutely, we could say Shovel Knight is an honorable mention based on this. Why not? But to make it full-fledged Donkey Kong universe, this is going to be one we would have to watch carefully. And it might take a year or two before we can even make any proclamations on it, assuming that Rare responded in the affirmative, And this is why I'm waiting and seeing with Yooka-Laylee, because I just don't know. I got to see it with my own eyes. I got to.
Okay. All right. Well, if you got to, you got to.
But I feel like we can have these discussions, and my opinion can be changed because look at what you did with me and the DK rappers. You presented an argument I thought was balderdash on the surface. I examined it closer, did my own research, came back and said, by golly, that ginger bastard is right. And I feel like that's the way. I feel like we're mature enough that we can have these debates, these disagreements, and eventually reach an agreement because we're steeped enough in this that this is why opening it up to the forum would be a mistake because
you don't trust them.
There's I trust the opinions of Jeff. By the way, Jeff Onan disagrees with us on the DK Rapper. That's fair. That's fair.
That's fair. And I welcome that. I like it. I like disagreement on this because it really lets us drill down into what the fuck we're talking about.
And this is what Saf has even said, that you've got to test out these scenarios. You've got to really fine tune them, and that's what we do. We run them through the strainer, man. I mean, there's no excess liquid here. It's all noodle. Mm-hmm. And you know,
it's the ill-fated Campbell soup brand. Oops, all noodles. Remember when Captain Crunch did that?
No, I know what you're referencing because it's the most shitty name for a cereal. Oops, all berries. Really? Fuck you.
Fuck you indeed. Oops, all berries. We made an accident, and somehow we came up with box art that corroborates that accident.
Fuck you, post cereal. Oops, I shit in a box. But no, when I say this is why you shouldn't leave it to the forum, no, this is why we should open it up to the forum, have them have the debate, but why ultimately we can't votes by poll or committee. This is because we take what they say into account, absolutely, because it's important, but things will get heated on the forum. Things get hot-blooded. You know, I mean, they're passionate people in the forum, tango dancers. Mm-hmm. They and you've got to be cold, level-headed. Here's a Star Trek reference for you. The first of the episode. You've got to be Spock-like, Vulcan-esque about these decisions, because ultimately it's cold, hard science. And I feel like that's where it matters. That's where it counts. I feel like that's what we've done with the DK Rapper. We've presented as much as an argument as you can make. It's about as solid as Mr. Pants appearing on Boggy's TV.
Mm-hmm. And well, I would say there are certain people, like the aforementioned few, that I trust to apply Vulcan logic to these cases.
Saf, and Jeff. Even though we disagree with Jeff here, I think they're both true people who I definitely value their input because they get it. They've been living this life, and Saf alone has just. He's made me view it in a way I didn't view it before. He's actually made me view it as actual legalese, and
he makes you feel like your stupid childhood notions actually have merit.
Basically, yeah.
So here's my question: why not establish an odd-numbered Supreme Court of the Donkey Kong universe with such personalities? And however they vote, that's the way we go. After hearing the arguments laid forth by the forum, the Supreme Court votes on their interpretation of the Constitution, which is immutable, and then we have our Donkey Kong Universe games, or we have our wait and see.
Here's the problem. With that, and it's entirely egocentric. We found a DK Vine chat, and what happens when the Supreme Court approves something and you vote for it and I vote against it? Suddenly I'm stuck with a notion I don't agree with on a site I'm working on day in and day out. That's problematic for my well-being, for my mental well-being.
But you're not excited about the idea that this concept could have a life beyond your brain?
When I die, sure.
Well, it is a lifetime appointment.
Yeah, exactly. No. And you know, I would be entirely comfortable with little Saf Jr. and little Jeff the Third on a future DK Vine Supreme Court, along with our own offspring. And of course, I'm going to clone myself and put my brain in my own clone, so I'm still going to be there. But no, I would worry that fundamentally it would break me or it would break you if we had to support a notion we disagree with. It's like when the Waluigi rule was established. I was not a part of the Waluigi rule, and I initially rebelled against it until I played Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance, thinking this is going to be Donkey Kong Universe. Fuck you, Waluigi rule. And because of course, the young Roy from off of Super Smash Bros. Melee appears at the end of the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem, the first one released.
By the way, I don't even think about the from off ofs anymore. They have transformed my conversations in real life with Janelle. Janelle says from off of for everything, and I noticed you just did from off of Fire Emblem. That's just how I talk now. Thanks, Matt.
By the way, the Waluigi rule, for those of you who don't know, good lord, this episode is going long.
That's okay.
It's okay.
Look, we'll inform the local affiliates. We're stretching it out a little bit. We'll put it up on the web. It's all good.
Yeah, our apologies to Pope Francis. We're gonna have to cut him for time.
Right, and your local sportscaster. I know this is going to cut into the into the high school football game and the weather report. But you'll still get to see Jay. Don't worry.
Yeah, stay tuned for Conan. I don't know why I did that. You just mentioned Jay Leno. I felt like I had to do the voice.
Yeah, it's like a tick.
The Jay Leno is like a tick, and that he sucked the life force out of late night.
You wild, man.
So, the Waluigi rule was established by you and the new staff, like Sean King. Was David part of that?
The new staff? David Chiphead?
Yeah, David Lynch. From off of Twin Peaks.
We covered this on our anniversary episode a while ago. I don't remember the exact timing, unfortunately.
Okay, well, anyway, basically what happened was Waluigi, I think, of course, he first appeared in a Donkey Kong Universe game, Mario Tennis for the N64, 2000. And then Waluigi was going to appear in the Dance Dance Revolution Mario game. And suddenly, this was a concept we didn't have to deal with and confront until then. And does that make Dance Dance Revolution Mario Edition, whatever the fuck it was called, does that make that Donkey Kong universe, even though it has no tangible connection to the Donkey Kong series? Just because a character who appeared in what was essentially a cameo appearance by Donkey Kong in another franchise, like you see what I'm saying? I'm losing my train of thought, but
I do. No, it's been a long show.
Yeah. So you said you came in and said, no, we need to make an amendment to the DKU rules because of course that wouldn't be DKU. That's ugly. That's hideous. That tarnishes the concept. I was off on the sidelines at the time, and I was like, what are you kidding me? Of course it's Donkey Kong Universe. I was a lot more like you at that time. I was like, but the whole notion is we're supposed to follow every silly breadcrumb trail we can. Of course. So what if Mario Dance Dance Revolution Mania Maker is part of the Donkey Kong universe? That makes it fun and silly and weird. And so I decided in my own personal Donkey Kong universe I was going to break away from the site as far as my own canon goes and continue the line of thought. So I played Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance, which I think was the first game that would fall under the Waluigi rule technically. Mm-hmm. So I played it, and it was actually a very fun game. As much shit as I give Fire Emblem for its overabundance in Smash 4, it was a great game.
And by the way, this is because in our territories outside Japan, Roy premiered in Super Smash Bros. Melee before he was ever in a Fire Emblem game.
Right. So, Roy appears as a small child at the very end of Fire Emblem because Fire Emblem deals with Roy's father. Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance in the Western territories.
Yeah, Roy is his boy.
That's right. So I played Fire Emblem. It was a great game. Eventually, I just realized this has nothing to do with the Donkey Kong universe. This is completely divorced from the world Rare built. There's no characters here. This is, what am I doing? Chad was right. And then
every now and then
I looked back, and then I looked back at basically what really influenced the Donkey Kong universe, and that was me watching shitty sitcoms of my youth and getting really digging the connections that would be made. And I thought about the Perfect Strangers Family Matters universe. And basically, yes, Family Matters was a spinoff of Perfect Strangers. And yes, Urkel appeared in Full House. That episode of Full House is part of the Perfect Strangers Family Matters universe. But Full House itself is not. Because Full House
I'm sorry, my eyes just glaze over when you start talking about the TGIF lineup now.
Full House was not spawned from Perfect Strangers or Family Matters. It merely crossed over with it. And I realized, so if any character is introduced in the Stephanie Gets Glasses episode of Full House where Urkel appears,
Right.
would not then be followed by Perfect Strangers fans, because those would just be Full House characters. I don't give a damn if Urkel appeared in that episode. They're not Perfect Strangers characters. So, applying that to Fire Emblem, you can see how I came to your point of view.
It's crystal clear.
So, my whole point is, we have these disagreements, and we come to agreements. Eventually, the superior logic will win out. But if we open it up to a Supreme Court, then ultimately people are going to be voting. We're going to be having less debate, I feel like. And
what? No, we'd have more debates because people would feel like they have a voice, and then the trusted people that we know would interpret the.
Because all you'd have to do is
just fuck it, no.
And I might agree with you in a few years, Chad, as I did. Let me tell you a story about the
oh God! Can we just end the episode, please?
No, one more thing. So what I'm saying though is, you would just take it up for a vote in the Supreme Court, and it would be done. Mm-hmm. This way, we have to really get down in the gutter, in the mud, and fight it out. And ultimately, survival of the fittest, the most fit concept wins out. And that is why I feel like the framework we've established is ultimately pure, and now I'm sounding like Hitler, so maybe we should just end the episode.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.